Everyone start now? Right, let's begin then. Let us all bring our palms together in veneration of the Perfect One, the fully enlightened One, supreme among men, Devas and Brahmas. And as we do so, let us remind ourselves that this is not a mere mark of respect or veneration towards the Buddha. In fact, the ultimate mark of respect towards him would be to walk the path that he so painstakingly discovered and laid down for all of us. And that is what we are here to do. That is our resolve, that is our determination. Let us therefore take this pledge of allegiance to walk the noble path towards the ultimate bliss of Nibbāna, to be faithful to the noble path, to our conscience, until we have all arrived and achieved the ultimate bliss of unconditional happiness. So with that in mind, let us chant the Namaskara, observe the precepts, and begin with today's proceedings. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. How are you all doing today? Good? Yes, because I haven't started speaking to you yet. My job is to ruin your Sundays, right? Yes. Your beautiful Sundays. Jolly good Sundays. My job is to ruin it. Weekends are synonymous with relaxation, fun, entertainment, aren't they? It's the time where you can spread your arms and legs. It's the time to give yourselves what can we say? Give yourselves a bit of it's a reward. It's a reward for what? For getting through the week. So what does that say about the week? That it was a difficult one. So you typically look forward to the weekend. Almost all people look forward to the weekend. Perhaps you also look forward to the weekend for other reasons. Maybe now for a different reason. But before you came across the Dhamma, myself included, we always look forward to a weekend. Because the weekend was synonymous, like I said, with those things. It was the time for us to reward ourselves for a hard and long weekly grudge. Or the drudge rather, grudge perhaps. But the weekly drudge, all the things that you had to do across the week, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. What time do you all wake up for? Or you don't sleep? Some people are like, yes, Swami, it doesn't feel like I get any sleep. Waking up at say 4:35, that sort of time, yeah, okay. And then you have to get yourself ready for work, fix something up for breakfast, and then get the children ready, for those who have children. Get your husbands ready, get your wives ready. Make sure that the car's ready to get to work. Make sure you catch the bus on time, catch the train on time, right? And then get yourself to work on time. Sometimes that itself is like a victory. You feel like you deserve a weekend just for getting through Monday, right? Don't you feel like that sometimes? That there should be an equal number of weekend days for every weekday that you spend? Does it not feel like that? And so Saturday is for Monday, Sunday is for Tuesday. What about the rest of the days? There's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that I got through. So if you had it your way, which would be longer, the weekday or the weekends? That's the thing. So you feel like the weekdays are worth it because you get a weekend at the end of it. It's okay to go through all that hard work and all that berating that you have to put up with, all those running arounds, all those errands and all those chores and getting those reports in on time, going to all those meetings and running from meeting to meeting. Does that ring a bell for some of you at least? Yes. And then getting stuck in traffic, that's one of the things you really don't look forward to. Getting stuck in traffic on the way there, on the way back. Because you always catch the worst time. It's either on the way or on the way back. And then when you're at work, again you have to put up with people you like. You get to be with them, but then there are those who you don't like. But again, you have to put up with them because it's all part of the job. So then, of course, a weekend is well deserved, well earned. So what do you do on weekends then? Before the Dhamma came to your life, what did you used to do on weekends? Shopping? That was one of the big things to do on a weekend. Yeah? Did you do a Saturday shopping or a Sunday shopping? What was on your schedule? Friday night shopping? No? You didn't do shopping? Someone else did it for you? So if you were fortunate enough to have someone who did the shopping for you, then you had to work hard enough to pay their wages. One way or the other, you're damned. Right? So there was that. And then you have to make sure that the house is in order. Any repairs that had to be done, you had to either do it yourself or get someone in to do that for you. That was the time for you to take your car to the service. So thanks for the reminder. That's a gentle reminder to everyone else as well. If you have your phones on you, please make sure that they are put on silent. Thank you. So it always felt like the weekend was well deserved because you worked your socks off during the week. And so Friday feeling, that was a very nice feeling. When Friday came around, you felt like, that's it, now from here on, it's all going to be good. We talked a little bit about this last week, and we talked about how lives can be busy, but busyness is not really a real thing. It's a mental fabrication. When you look forward to something, it doesn't feel like you're going to be busy. But when you don't look forward to something, then it feels like life becomes busy all of a sudden. So it all depends on your perspective, how you feel about the next thing that you've got to do. When you talk about studying, you've got exams coming up. People say, really busy these days, we've got exams coming up. But you never say, I've got a game of cricket, I'm going to be really busy. You don't say that. It doesn't feel busy. That feels like entertainment. But ultimately, you're just doing work, that's all. You're doing something. If you're going to be going out with friends, you don't say, I'm going to be busy. You're just going to say, I'm going to be engaged, or I'm going to be with my friends. That doesn't feel like busy. Even if you might use the word to say that to someone, it doesn't feel busy. So it's all to do with how you see life, how this whole life thing operates in your mind, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I come into Colombo, when I'm driven past the streets and you see the hotels, the restaurants, playgrounds, parks, all these places, they all tell me a story. They all have a story to tell. On either side of the road, ladies and gentlemen, I can see how people suffer. For most people, they are temples. For you, Jetanarama might be a temple. Maybe not yet. For you, perhaps Rajagiriya is a temple. This is a temple for you on Sunday mornings. But for most people in this world, the restaurant is their temple. It's where they go to find peace. It's where they go to find solace. Do ask yourself, is that not where you used to go to find solace? Respite? Peace? Hardly any of you, if not none of you, ever thought of work as being your place of solace. Unless you really didn't get on with your family. In which case, then work might have been you might have found a better home there. But these restaurants, that's paradise to most people. Most people. I'd say 9 out of 10 people. So 9.9 out of 10 people, which is 10 people. Almost everyone in this world, they find solace in these places. So actually those restaurants are temples. The theaters, the cinemas, what are they? They're temples. Because people who are struggling with life and for whom time has become a punishment. If time is created in your mind, then you no longer need a punisher. You are punished by yourself. For them, the restaurant is a temple. The theater, the cinema is a temple. The Viharamadevi Park, what is it? It should really be called the Viharamadevi Temple. That's why they have Vihara at the beginning. It's a temple. If you've seen what people do when they go there, they sit down under the trees, and they hold hands and they walk. They lay down and look up at the sky. What are they doing? Solace. They're looking for solace. It's that one time in the week where they get to relax. It's that time where they don't have to think about work. Because work is very stressful. Family is very stressful. Relationships, maintaining relationships, very stressful. If I asked you to list down your relationships in the order of how stressful they are, how tense they make you, how much you don't look forward to meeting them, right? Then I'm sure you could do that just like that. In fact, if I asked you who's the person that you least like to associate with in your family, extended family, most of you will have an answer to this question. And then you say, well, what can we do, Swaminathan? We can choose our friends, but our families are chosen for us. So what can we do? Because you feel that it is their association that causes you stress, it causes you anxiety, it causes you pain and suffering, and you have no way of being away from them, at least not forever. There will always be times where you're going to have to meet each other. You don't know how to deal with these situations. And so when you think about the next time you're going to see them, it brings you fear. It brings you worry. I'm sure there are people in life that you don't like to be with, but you have to. Everyone give me a nod? There you go. People suffer because they're indebted. This is one of the problems. Debt. Some people debt, personal debt, business debt, leases that they cannot pay, financial agreements, arrangements that they cannot pay, rent that they cannot pay, mortgages that they cannot pay. And what do? They go to the temple. Which temple am I talking about? The cinema. They go to the parks. They go to the beach, that's another temple. There's a street called Marine Drive, right? Yes. What do you see when you walk past or drive past Marine Drive? People on the beach. Where do they look? Towards the traffic or out at the horizon? They look out at the horizon. Because it gives them hope. They like to watch the sunset. People don't do things for no reason. People always do things for some reason. You have to wonder, why is it people go to the beach and look out at the sunset? Why? You might say it's because it's a beautiful sight. Why must you look at a beautiful sight? That is because the sight that they have to look at every other day is not pretty. That's why they look forward to going to the beach. The sounds that they get to hear, the sights they get to hear, the things that they have to associate with, the people that they have to associate with, it doesn't give them happiness. So they go to watch the sunset. So they go to the restaurants. So they go for a walk in the park. So they go out. So they go to watch the dramas, to listen to some music. That's why people need entertainment. If you are someone who enjoy entertainment and it's one of your hobbies, then what that says is there's something wrong with your life. Now you see, at these cinemas and all, they give discounts for various types of people, right? So they might have a discount for members of the armed forces, for example. They might have discounts or concessionary rates for children, for instance. They might have concessionary rates for OAPs, old age pensioners. They might have that. Do they give discounts for monks? Monks discounts? At restaurants? Monks rates? Now, typically, if you stop at a restaurant, usually they serve the meal for free. If you're a Swami Nuhansi, typically they tend to do that. That's not because the Swami Nuhansi demands it, it's because they see it as an opportunity to earn some merits out of it. That's a different matter. That's a different matter. But they don't have a monk's rate published. Because a monk is not someone who should need entertainment. You need entertainment because life is not fun. Life itself is not fun. That's when you need entertainment. So I beg you to think about this long and hard. What are some of your hobbies? Think about what your hobbies are. Most of you have a hobby. For some of you, it might be watching films. That used to be one of my hobbies. I'll be the first to confess. Right? So now it's easier for the rest of you, right? I'm the worst out of the lot, so you're all fine, okay? So watching films was one of my hobbies. I really look forward to the weekends. When weekends used to come, that was the time for me to relax because I'd worked really hard throughout the week. Putting up with my work colleagues, putting up with my boss, putting up with other customers, clients, contracts, all these things, deadlines, having to do all that, having to manage all that, and then I felt like I deserved some fun in life. What that told me was life itself is not fun. I asked you, if that's the story that entertainment told me, does it not tell you the same thing about yourself? I want you to ask this question of you, ladies and gentlemen. And have a think about whether what you're doing with life is fair on yourself. Is it fair that you have allowed life to be like this? Is it fair on yourself? Is it fair on yourself that you find solace in a weekend? Imagine a man who lives for a year. What does he have more of, weekdays or weekends? Weekdays. So 52 weeks of the year, times that by 5, you have the number of weekdays. 52 weeks in the year, times that by 2, you have the number of weekends. So what do you have more of? Obviously, this is a very obvious question. You have more weekdays. What do you look forward to? Weekends. So then the year cannot be something you will look forward to because the majority of the year is something you don't look forward to, right? If the weekends are all you look forward to, then 2/7 of the year is all you look forward to. 5/7 of the year you don't look forward to because it's not fun. It's tough. It's not enjoyable. It's stressful. It's painful. It's daunting. How many Mondays do you have? 52. That's bad enough. There's only one thing slightly better than a Monday, that's a Tuesday. Unless you're one-to-one, so it's on a Tuesday. Right? You're one-to-one with your boss. If that's on a Tuesday, then Tuesday is the worst day of the week, isn't it? Because that's the day they're going to hold you accountable, get you updates, and tell you what's good, tell you what's bad, tell you what else you've got to be doing. The only thing that's better than a Tuesday is a Wednesday. And the only thing slightly better than a Wednesday is what? Is a Thursday. And finally, the week brings you to a Friday. Friday is doable because you have the weekend just around the corner. I have to ask you this question, I'm sorry. Why do you punish yourself like this? I don't mean going to work. I mean, you don't like going to work. And yet you do it. So the answer is not stopping going to work, because we have to work. We all have to work. I work. I don't get paid, but I work. You get paid and you work. I don't get paid, but I work. This is me working. My service is a sasana service. I work because work makes me happy. You work because you have a weekend that comes after work. Because in the week, they pay you so that in the weekend, you can enjoy. I work because for me, every day is fun. Work is not the problem. It's not what you do when you're at work that's the problem. It's the fact that you always believe that it's the future that's going to bring you relief. It's the future that's going to bring you happiness. It's the future that's going to bring you relaxation. You're looking forward to the weekend is what makes your weeks, your weekdays so painful. Because you look forward to the weekend. Whenever you look forward to something, ladies and gentlemen, the present is hell. That's how anything becomes unbearable, when you look forward to something else other than what you have at the present moment. Anything can be painful if you're not in the moment. If you're not enjoying what's there, if you're looking forward to what's coming up next, then whatever is there in the present is going to become a torture. But that's why I say you have to be grateful that they have temples all over the place. The restaurants are temples, the hotels are temples, the theaters are temples, the cinemas are temples. Because people haven't still found refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, therefore they have found refuge in the restaurants. Now, seriously, ask yourselves, I used to do this from time to time. I used to look forward to weekends when I used to be able to go out with my friends, because that was the time for us to relax. Meaning, I was not enjoying life. A lot of young people are going through this. Most people wait until they turn 18 so that they can go out with friends, go clubbing, go dancing, go singing, go drinking. Because there's this age limit after which supposedly you can take responsibility for your own life. And you can make those choices. What is the legal limit now for alcohol? 12. I wouldn't be surprised. 21, still? Not 18? But they put it up. It was always that. So what happens at 21? I want you to think about this. So at 20 years and 364 days, okay? They're not wise enough. to make those choices. A day later, on the dawn of their 21st birthday, apparently now they're wise enough, they're smart enough, they're clever enough to decide whether alcohol is right for them. What's the legal limit for smoking? Is there one? 21 still? What's the legal limit for marriage? 18? Eloping? No legal limit? So, at 18, you are wise enough to choose your partner. Actually, at 18, you're wise enough to decide that you can be married, that you should be married to someone. Yeah? So my question is, what happens at 18 that didn't happen at 17? So one could say you have knowledge about the world, that you've given yourself enough time to experience the world and learn about the world. You have given yourself enough time to see what goes on in the world and see the consequences of people's actions, because you are yet to make that choice, right? But you can see the consequences of other people's actions, and then decide for yourself whether that is the right or wrong thing to do. What that says is, after the age of 18, if you're allowed to get married at the age of 18, then everyone who chose to do that should be happy right now, right? Because that was the right age to choose. You follow my line of thought? If at the age of 18, you're old enough, wise enough, knowledgeable enough, clever enough, smart enough to decide to get married, to decide to be married, then what that says is, conventionally, this is what society has accepted, that if you're free to make that choice now, that is because you're smart enough to make that choice now, then those who made that choice should be happy. Are you? When did you make that choice? At 18. Because before that, they would not have allowed you to do it. And then you say at 21, you can decide to smoke. You can decide to consume alcohol. So then, if at that age, you're allowed to make that decision about your life and take these substances, then those who take such substances should be happy. Because what do you make your decisions based on? Exactly. Thank you. Aren't all your decisions made based on that? Okay, let's say 9 out of your 10 decisions, I'll leave one for duties, obligations, responsibilities. Sometimes it's not what makes us happy, Swami Mahansa, but we have to do it anyway. Okay, all right. Leave 1 out of 10 for that. But 9 out of 10 decisions that you make because it's what makes you happy. It's what fulfills you. It's what you feel is the right thing for you. And they don't let you make that choice until you're 21. They don't let you decide to get married until you're 18. That means the law, custom, culture has accepted, convention, society has accepted that once you reach this age, you're wise enough to make those decisions and make those decisions correctly. So let's turn our heads to those who decided not to get married at age 18. There'll be some who decided not to be married. And some decide to choose to remain single for the rest of their life. Are they happy? Some are going, yes, some not. Then why are you here? Checkmate. If you're happy, you needn't be here. Those who should come to these sermons are only those who are yet to find what happiness is in life. What is the path to happiness? If you have found how it is you have to be happy, then this is not the place for you. You just have to be wherever you are and be happy. So who's happy, the married or the unmarried? Is it those who drink or those who don't drink? Who's happy? Is it those who smoke or those who don't smoke? Who's happy? Who's happier? The answer is? So whether you drink or you don't drink, whether you smoke or you don't smoke, whether you're married or you're not married, has nothing to do with your happiness. Then these are not the choices that are those decisive choices in your life. It's just another choice, ladies and gentlemen. Just another decision, that's all. It's just another decision. I'm not suggesting that from here on you can choose to do whatever with regards to smoking, drinking, getting married, right? Do whatever you like. That's not what I'm suggesting. Otherwise you'll say, Swami Namaste said it's okay. They're both the same, right? So I've been a teetotaler all my life for the last 25 years, but Swami Namaste said it's not an important point, so I decided to drink from here on. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is these are not those important decisions in life. These are not your make or break decisions in life. These are not the decisive decisions in life. But people feel that these are very important milestones in life. I remember when I was back in the UK, 18 was a big, there was always a big party for your 18th birthday. 16th birthday, that was another big party. I think, if I remember right, 16 is the legal age before you're allowed to smoke in the UK. Yes, some people nodding, thank you. 16, once you're 16, you can choose to smoke. So therefore 16 was a big thing. And then 18 was the next big milestone. Because it was giving you freedom. Freedom to make yet more wrong choices. That's what it was. It's like, you're in prison. Let's imagine you're all in prison. Okay? After you've been in prison for 10 years, or say 16 years, they let you choose to go to one of the other chambers, still in prison. So you're in one cell, you're there for 16 years, but on your 16th birthday, you get to choose whether you remain in that cell or you go to the neighboring cell. Big day, isn't it? It's a big day. You got to celebrate that day because you get to choose whether you can go to the next cell or not. But where are you still? You're still in prison. And then when 18 comes, another 2 years, and then you get to choose another cell. That's on the other side of the building. So you can decide to either stay where you are or you can shift your cell. But where are you again still? You're still in prison. And what's the point? What's the point? If the unmarried are just as unhappy as the married, and if the married are just as unhappy as the unmarried, was that such a big decision to make in your life, I ask? All that changed was you felt like you were now committed to one individual. Now, in the same vein, I would say, if you're a married individual, right, make sure you fulfill your duties and responsibilities to your husband and your wife. Be grateful for whatever they do for you, right, and do your part for that towards that relationship to foster a loving and very kind, nice relationship. I would say that. But now I'm speaking the Dhamma. When we start talking the Dhamma, ladies and gentlemen, all of these conventional constructs, they just come crashing on the floor. They come crashing onto the ground. Because through the lens of the Dhamma, you are just a chitta. There's no place for marriage. Marriage is a conventional construct. You only know you are married to someone because you know that as a fact. There's nothing else that is true about marriage. It's just knowledge. and a commitment that you feel you're making towards another individual. You can't even express love towards that person, not a love that they can feel. I will explain and I will prove some of these things to you today. We talked about relationships a long time ago. I think many of you were there for that sermon and many of you got a lot out of it. Relationships. And how all these relationships are merely in our own thoughts. And even when we try and express our feelings to other individuals, they don't actually experience anything that we try to express to them because you don't have feeling receptors. You don't have emotion receptors. All you have are sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So no matter how much one person loves you, it's impossible for them to show you that love, to share that love with you because you don't have a love receptor. There's nothing that can take love from someone and then feed it to your brain or to your mind or to any part of your existence. That's not possible. But these are considered significant milestones in a person's life. Most people, they wait until they're 18, waiting so that they can be married off or they can get married to a person of their choosing. Now, if you're under 18, anyone in the audience under 18, that will be a big, you're all looking forward to growing up to 18. If you have gone past that age, you can remember what you felt like when you were growing up to 18. 17 and a half, you were counting, 6 more months to go. Just 6 more months to go. It felt like a big accomplishment that you'd gotten somewhere. Whereas actually all that happened was, here's what happened. This was your chitta at 17 years and 364 days. 18 years and 0 days. You can't hear me? Better? At 17 years and 364 days, that was your chitta. 18 years and 0 days, that's your chitta. What changed? Nothing. To be fair, to qualify for the things that you're normally allowed to do at age 18, this chitta should actually mature in a lot of ways. This should be fed with wisdom, of all things wisdom, but wisdom only comes through understanding of Dhamma. And that is why, although people make decisions at age 18, soon after they begin to suffer the consequences of those decisions, meaning they were not the right decisions to be made. Those decisions were not made accurately. They didn't have what they needed to make those decisions. Because people don't know what's right or wrong for them. People don't know what decisions lead them to happiness and which ones lead them to their misery. They don't know that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not their fault. You're here, but not everyone is here. Because people are yet to figure out what happiness actually means. It is people who have not understood what happiness actually means who go to the restaurants on the weekends. Because there they find solace. To them it's a temple. You're here on Sunday morning, but not everyone is. You're at the monastery on a Saturday, but not everyone is. I don't mean our monastery, somewhere. You go to church on Sunday, but not everyone does. You go to the mosque on Friday, but not everyone does. Most people will choose hanging out with friends, going out having a party, going out dancing, singing, adventure, because to them, those are the temples. And a temple is where you find solace. That's why people go to the temple. Why do you go to temple? Just to see a Swamin Wahanse? No. You go there because you believe that there you will find solutions to life's problems, right? Isn't that why you go to the temple? Isn't that the hospital for the mind? Isn't the temple the hospital for your mind? When your body is ill, you take it to your favorite hospital. I'm not going to name any. But when your mind is ill, where do you go? To the temple. You go to the mosque, you go to the church, you go to the kovil, you go to God. Actually, what you're looking for is the truth. That's why you go to these places. You go looking for the truth about those problems. Where do I find the truth? How can I come out of these problems? That's because by this point in life, one of two things have happened for you. Either you have earned lots and lots and lots of merits to the point where you don't have to try out every other thing under the sun, and you have had the good fortune of noble association that has guided you towards the truth already. Either that has happened, or you've already tried every other thing. So you've tried watching films when you were stressed. I tried that, didn't work. Going out with friends when you were stressed. Ringing your best friend and trying to talk it out with them and trying to just express yourself and trying to find solace. You've tried that. Having a party, going to the beach, finding a girlfriend, getting yourself a boyfriend. These were things you tried to do, not for any other reason. It was only because your mind was vexed, ladies and gentlemen, you were looking for solutions. You know, don't be fooled by a man who comes up to you and says, I want to marry you because I love you. That's not true. Today I can speak this because I know it's not true. Undoubtedly, it's not the truth. It's a lie. It's a lie, but they don't know they're lying. So you can't accuse them of lying. Right? You can't accuse them of lying, but the problem is that's not the truth either. Just because someone doesn't know they're not lying doesn't make it the truth, does it? Yeah? So if I ask you what day is it today, you might just get your days confused and you might say today is Saturday. Just because you are confused doesn't make today Saturday. It's not. Likewise, sometimes although people don't know that they're lying, that doesn't make it the truth. So when someone proposes to you, I'd like to get married to you because I love you, that is not true. What they're really saying is, I'm totally vexed. Right? Life is not fun. Life is such a hell for me. I'm just trying out different things. Can you be my guinea pig? Really, that's what they're saying. Can I trial you? Can we try this and see whether that's going to work for me? If you don't believe me, then tell me, why do they go for divorce later? If you can't accept what I'm proposing to you now, then you tell me, why do people go for divorce later? That's because they tried it and what? Didn't work. So what were they there in the first place for? They were stressed. Life is vexing. And so they tried marriage. It's just another thing that they try. They think you are the temple. Just like the restaurant. When you were dating, you were a temple on the day that you had the date. So let's say you met them on Saturday during chemistry class. Now that was chemistry, wasn't it? Oh yes, that was chemistry. So, Saturdays were the days that you went to temple. Because there you met your crush, who later on went to become your girl/boyfriend. Because life is not fun. Life is taxing, life is vexing, life is very difficult. Because you had exams to do, you had your parents always nagging at you, right? Then other commitments and other obligations. Life is stressful. All these problems are coming at you. A happy man never goes looking for marriage. That's why marriage itself is built on a lie. That's why in marriage you can never find happiness. Now you might think, no, Swaminatha, that's not true. I've been married for the last 25 years and my life has been Very happy. We've had a very happy married life for the last 25 years. What you're really saying is, I have put in a lot of effort over the last 25 years. You know, this pen isn't heavy, is it? It's not a heavy pen, right? If it's such a light object, I should just be able to leave it there and take my hand away, right? It's such a light object. It's hardly any weight at all. So I should just be able to leave it there and take my hand away. And it should be there, right? Why can I not do that? Because it requires maintenance. Anything that lasts a duration of time is something that you maintain. Take away maintenance, it's gone. So how come you lasted 25 years in your marriage? Maintenance. That's how you managed to last 25 years. No other way. So you're talking about a happiness that was maintained by you. If you have to maintain a happiness, that cannot be true unconditional happiness. What does unconditional happiness mean to you? It means it's not conditioned on your maintaining it. That's what I mean. Then it's not dependent on your maintaining it. Now, walk through the alleyways of your life. As we speak, walk through the alleyways of your life and ask yourself the various ways in which you maintain this so-called happiness. That's why your weekends are always very busy. That's why your weeks are always very busy. You have to do something to maintain it. If you've been in the same job for the last 5 years, it's because you've been maintaining it. Everything requires maintenance. Everything except for Nibbāna. Actually, Nibbāna is considered bliss for the simple reason that it doesn't require maintenance. That's why everything else is not Nibbāna. Everything else is Bāna. Bāna meaning requiring support. It's contingent on something. Every other pursuit of happiness that you know of is contingent on something. Your maintenance of it. So, because life is like that for most people, actually for almost all people, they need restaurants. No wonder. So I'm thankful when I, drive past this and we see all those restaurants and all those other social places for social gathering and things like that. I'm glad that people have these places. In fact, truth be told, before you walk into a place like that, you should get down on your knees and worship. No, honestly. Why do you get down on your knees and worship the Buddha? What has he offered you? Peace. He's offered you peace. Why do people get down on their knees in front of Jesus? When they pray to God, when they pray to Allah, why do they get down on their knees? What does that represent? Surrender. I surrender because I have found the answer. I surrender myself to the truth. I have found the answer. I have found the truth. I have found peace. So then tell me, why does a man get down on his knees when he proposes to a woman? With the same knee. The same knees with which he gets down in front of Jesus. He gets down in front of the Buddha. He gets down in front of his mother and his father. He gets down in front of a girl. With what hope? What hope does he have? The hope he has is, she will make me happy. The answer to all my problems lay with her. And then both of them come to the temple after that. Don't you see the irony in that? They come to the temple for counseling. Now we get that all the time at the monastery. And then they go to the psychiatrists and the psychological counselors. And then they go to the churches to meet the priest. And then they get down on their knees again. You have to be smarter than that. I think you have to be smarter than that. Is it okay for me to think like that? Or shall I just consider you also to be average people? That will be an insult. I consider you to be smarter than that. Your choices, ladies and gentlemen, from here on, at least from here on, right? At least from here on, your choices have to be well thought out. Don't fool yourself by thinking that you have all the life left in the world. You can only be confident about life in this moment. In the next moment, life will be gone, and any hope, any chance, any opportunity you had to find the truth will be gone with that. This present moment is the only moment with which you can have, about which you can have any confidence. Who can say that by the end of this sermon we will all be alive? The Swaminathan could drop dead any moment. You could drop dead any moment. Right? We could all drop dead if this roof falls on our head any moment. No, right? You checked. Or if the floor collapses, right? That'll be it. I mean, that'll be it. That'll be the end of it. Haven't such things happened? How many times? Just once? Well, there you go. So from here on, now you can't listen to the sermon anymore, right? You're thinking about the roof and the floor under your feet. I've just put paranoia into your mind. But the truth is, you need to find true happiness in your life so that you don't have to get down on your knees in front of various things. When is the day the temple is going to stop being your temple? Sorry. When is the day the restaurant is going to stop being your temple? You don't need to answer me, because you're not answerable to me. You're only answerable to yourselves. You're answerable to yourselves. You are not accountable to me, because it's not my life that you're living. Whose life are you living? Your own life. Who worked hard to earn this life? To earn human life? Who worked hard for that? You did. Individually, each and every one of us did. Right? So you are not accountable to me. I'm not your boss. You're not accountable to me. You're not answerable to me. But that does not mean that you're not accountable to anyone. That does not mean that you're not answerable to anyone. You are answerable, you are accountable to yourself. Therefore, make those choices wisely. If you still seek solace like I once used to do, I once used to think that the restaurants were my temple. I enjoyed going out to the cinema. At least once a month, I was there. At least once a month. When we met up with friends, 2-3 movies at a stretch was a very regular thing. It was not uncommon. Those were my temples. I went there looking for solace. Because in that moment, I could forget every other problem in my life. That's why they have these teledramas on TV. What do they call it? Run de pair. Don't they? Yes, that's what they call it. The 2 golden hours of cinema. You don't watch that anymore. You have satellite TV. So now you can now watch things on demand, right? There you go, of course. So now you don't have to wait. What was it? 7 to 9, I think it was. When we were younger, right, that was the time everyone gathered round around the television. Right? We had to finish everything, and between 7 and 9, it was the time to relax. It was the time to forget all our problems, because now we could try and solve someone else's problem. Why wouldn't that girl just accept that boy's offer? I mean, look at how hard he's trying for it. How much more can that boy do? How much more can he bear? Look, he's even crying. Why doesn't this girl have a heart? Huh? We had to solve those problems. So while you're embroiled with those problems, your problems are all suspended. Not gone, they're just suspended. Because your problems were so vexatious. Don't just watch a teledrama. Ask yourself why you watch it. Don't just watch a film. Ask yourself why you watch it. And then watch. My job here as a teacher, not as a policeman. I'm not a policeman. I will not come and police your lives for you. So I don't want you to install CCTV cameras and plug them all to the monastery and say, Swami, so can you watch us from here on? To make sure that we only do what we are supposed to do. We are righteous Rajagirians, right? Make sure we only do what is righteous. No, I'm not a policeman. I'm not out to catch criminals. You have asked me to be a teacher. A teacher's job is not to catch you when you're doing something wrong. A teacher's job is neither to punish you, because you don't need a teacher to punish or to be punished. Your wrongdoing is your punishment, because every action has a reaction. That's why I don't believe in prison. People don't need to be punished, because they have already created a prison for themselves by committing the sinful deed. What you need is reformation. For that, you need to be put in with teachers, people who have understood life. But people are generally incarcerated with other criminals. How does that work? How can someone be reformed like that? But I can't change the system. That's just the way it is. You put a murderer with another murderer. You put a child molester with another child molester. You put a rapist with another rapist. You put a thief in with another thief. So what do they share with each other? They're experts in their fields. Only they made a mistake. Next time, when they come out, they know how to commit it without making that mistake. That's how you have repeat offenders. But someone who has committed a sin, someone who has committed a crime, should be put in with someone, should be given the association of someone who knows how to come out of that, how to help them come out of that. Anyway, that's another matter. But even in my life, the television was a temple to me. So from teledramas, 7 to 9, that was the time we had finished our homework. Parents used to finish whatever chores they had to do, and we would sit around the TV set. This is, my youth. Until I later found a mentor who taught me that that is not what I should be doing with my time. And then later in my married life, movies. That was our thing. Or going out in the weekends with friends. That was the thing. Because I didn't know how to deal with life. Life was such a pain. But apparently life is a gift from God. How come He made such a pain a gift? That seems so unfair. But it is not so. Life is a present, life is a gift. We make it painful. We make it a burden because we don't know how to handle life. The other day I asked you to do something for me. Not for me, for yourself. That is, before you go shopping, to do something. Remember what that was? What was it? To make your shopping list. To make your shopping list so that you know going in what you want, and you only spend time, the time that you have to spend in there, and only buying the things that you need. Because you're going in to buy energy, not sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Because those are not things that you can buy in food. They don't come in food. Those are all creations of your mind. So, but I had no one to teach me these things. Certainly not back then. So this is how a useful, good life, many years of a good life was wasted. Fortunately, I lived long enough to come across the truth. But what if I hadn't? Just imagine if I died at 25. Just imagine if I got a cancer at 24. Or got run over by a bus at 23. What would have happened then? See, today, in hindsight, I can say that would have been a real waste, wouldn't it? Considering where I am today. Considering where I am today, with the Dhamma, and in the association that I have, right? If I died back then, one of my pastimes was rock climbing. How risky that is. And abseiling. I enjoyed that. That was one of my pastimes. I liked that. I liked adventure. But how risky that was. One slip at the foot, and that would have been it. If the safety harness had given up, that would have been it. Who knows? These things happen. And, at that age, we are risk takers. How often do you, really be as cautious as you should be when you cross the street? Sometimes you take risks. Even to this day, you might take risks. Right? When you see a vehicle approaching from that side, you see another vehicle approaching from that side, you take a calculator and you say, "No, I can make it." That adventurous, ambitious, right, beast inside of you says, "No, you can do it, go for it." With a bit of adrenaline, then you make a dash for it. What if you trip and fall in the middle of the road? What if you step on one of your shoelaces? That's it. Then the next thing they'll have to do, they'll come and shovel you up into a bag. Because that's all there'll be left of you, a pulp. But these things happen. Because those were the ways in which I tried to cope with life. Because life was painful. I didn't know what to do when fear struck. I always find myself imagining the future. I keep on saying me because I want you to think what the situation is with you right now. I found myself dreaming about the future, a future in which I wanted to do this, that, and the other, and the things that would stop me from achieving them. So those things became fears whenever I used to think about them. And then the other thing that happened to me was I couldn't stop myself from thinking about the past, the mistakes that I'd made in the past. And they would also come and haunt me. So the past and the future kept on torturing me. So the best thing I could do then is sit down and watch a movie. So for 3 hours, I could forget the past and the future. For those 3 hours, I was engaged in someone else's problem. Be that horror, be that comedy, be that adventure, right? Whatever it is. Be that an action movie. I mean, you can watch a James Bond movie until the end, right? Without batting an eyelid. And for that duration, you forget all of your problems. But forget doesn't mean gone forever. You only suspend them. Only because you're not thinking about them at that time, because something else is consuming your thought cycles. At that time, the TV became my temple. Is the TV still your temple? Is it still yours? Because I left that temple behind. What is your temple? Is the restaurant still your temple? Is the beach still your temple? Is music still your temple? When you're stressed, what do? Do you put on your headset and listen to some music? And lay down on the bed, just close your eyes and listen to it for a while? Until sometime maybe you fall asleep. And then you wake up again, and then you have your favorite, like people have these favorite tracks that they can, now you can curate your playlist. And technology is very helpful in that regard. Now you don't have to listen to the whole album. Like those days, they came in CDs, right? And those, what do you call them? On the gramophone? Vinyls, right? So you'd have to put them on that, and then every time, so you could play it and go and sit down and listen to it. But if you had to change the track, what do you have to do? You had to get back up, walk all the way there, pick up the vinyl, put another one on, and then go back there. How? That also was so stressful. So you didn't want to do that. So technology always came in and filled that void. Now you just have to say, Alexa. Right? See? The track of your choice is one voice command away. Just one voice command away. And artificial intelligence will study your music taste, and it'll pick songs from albums that are released and compile them together and give you a curated playlist. I think this is what you will like to listen to today. So it makes those recommendations. For some people, YouTube is their temple. For some people, Netflix is their temple. For some people, online gambling is their temple, because it gives you those momentary releases. For some people, pornography is their temple, because in that moment you can forget the world. And you can live in your own little world. These are all people who have failed in life. I'm sorry to say this, but if you still seek your solace in these things, you are still a failure. Still. That doesn't mean you always have to be one, but you are still a failure. If you stop by a kottu kade to buy a kottu, not because you need it, but because you want it, you are still a failure. If you walk up to the fridge, open it, and eat something just because it's there, or you feel a bit peckish, not because you're hungry, not because you need the energy, but because you want to entertain yourself, you are still a failure. Meaning, today your fridge is still your temple. Is your fridge still your temple? I have a question for you, and I want you to answer it, because you are answerable to yourself, not to me. You are accountable to yourself, not to me. If you have this murukku and stuff in a jar somewhere, right, somewhere in the kitchen, and when you're feeling a bit, you know that feeling, right? Like when you want to be the daya, and you walk up there, open it, right, get the jar or put it into a bit of a cup or something, and you walk back into the living room, put on the TV, sit down and just munch it. You don't even know what you're eating. And it's when your fingers hit the bottom of it, you know that you have to eaten all of it. And then you go back for seconds. You are still a failure. Don't think you're successful. The fact that you can afford it does not mean you're successful. But this is how most people evaluate success. Can I afford everything my mind wants? That has become the success index. Can I afford everything I want? Don't fall for these stories that people will tell you, if you can afford whatever you want, you are a successful man. No, ladies and gentlemen, no. No. You are a successful man when you don't want anything. That's when you are a successful man. If there's something in this world that you want, that thing that you want owns you. Oftentimes you think that you own the things that you have around you. You can keep thinking like that, but that is not true. You don't own your car, sir. Your car owns you. You know why I say that? Your car can live without you. Complete the sentence. Your car can live without you. But you can't live without your car. You know, in the Sinhalese language, there's a nice word, this word for husband and wife. The word for husband is Swami Purusha. The word for wife is Bharya. Yeah? That's the official word. Birinda, but Bharya. Conventionally, what this means is Swami Purusha is like Swami. He's the captain. He's the owner. Bharya is the one who belongs. Bharai. Has been entrusted. Belongs. Now don't look at me like that. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you a story. If you don't like it, don't ask me. Just saying, the women in the please, ladies, cut me some slack. No? I'm on your side. Come on. You know that I am. I always speak on your side, on your part, on your side. Right? So that's the Bharya. Bharya meaning the one who belongs. To whom? The Swami. The owner. That's why they have Swami, Purusha and Bharya. So what that means is, now if you go back, perhaps in this day and age this may not hold much water, but if you go back many years, maybe even some decades, not very far back in the past, the woman, when she was young, the parents looked after her, typically the father. Then when she was a bit older, the husband looks after her. As in when she comes of age. Right? Handed off in marriage, and then the husband looks after her. After that, the husband is too old now to look after her, and the husband passes away, and then the son looks after her. So she always had someone to look after her. So typically, a woman was considered someone who needed looking after. There's a reason for all this, but I'm not going to talk about that for now, as to how minds are formed and karma and vipaka and the temperament of the mind and why it is like that. We could explain the whole universe, because with the Dhamma, anything can be explained. It is so versatile, so comprehensive. One day you will understand why you were born a woman. One day. And one day you will understand why you were born a man. It's not chance. It's not luck. It's cause and effect. Your thinking determines what you become. Typically, typically, now if you don't fall into this group, then please forgive me. This is not an insult or an offense to any person in this room, right? Man or woman. Typically, the feminine character likes to belong to someone. It's very feminine to want that. They like to belong to someone. Whereas males like independence. A man likes to feel independent. They don't like being looked after. They want independence. Like, from a very young age, what do most boys want to do? When their parents come and say, do this, do that, father says, do this, do that, wait till I'm 18. And then I'm gone, and then I'll do whatever I want to do the way I want to do it. They want to become independent. But typically, the feminine attitude is not so. They like protection. They're very good at protection. Protecting and protection. Very good at that. That's why it is a woman who's born with a womb. If a man was born with a womb, oh boy, hardly any of us would be alive today. Because all they want is independence. Oh, this thing bothering me. They probably wouldn't like to be pregnant for more than a week. Because they're not very good at that. They want independence. But a woman likes protection and to protect, to feel protected and to give protection. More to feel protected, to feel like they belong to someone, to something, and so on. Now this is conventional. Like I say, things will have evolved now, and people have begun to think and work, and the whole social dynamic is quite different to what it used to be. But there is an innate nature which you actually cannot change. These are partly reasons why women are born women. Because you're not actually a woman, you're just a mind, a thought, chitta. This is just energy compounded around you. Your bodies are merely energy compounded around a chitta, that's all. That's why we all eat from the same pot, don't we? We all eat the same rice, the same whatever, food. But energy is compounded around you in a different way. One takes the shape of what we call a woman. The other takes the shape of what we call a man. See, even when you talk about biology, a man's job is to give. A woman's job is to take. Now, even if you think about something like reproduction, that's how it's formed. Everything in nature is like that. It's all cause and effect. The man gives, the woman takes. And then she nurtures. You know what I'm talking about? That's how it works. Because when a woman has a child, she feels like she belongs to that child. And the child belongs to her. So now she becomes a mother of the child. So anyway, I sidetracked. But the reason I talk about this is I was referring to those two terms, Swami Purusha and Baharyava. What that means is the woman belongs to the man. That is what is conveyed by those terms. The woman belongs to the man. The same thing happens when you think you own something. When you think you own something, like I said, you think you own your car, the car can survive without you, but you cannot survive without the car. So now the car becomes the Swami Purusha, and you become the Baharyava. Whatever it is, take something a little smaller in size, the watch that you wear on your wrist. Your wristwatch can do without you just fine. The day you die, it's not going to cry. And the next day, someone else will come and take it, right? And then they'll put it on their wrist and they will The watch will give the time just as accurately as it did when you wore it, right? However, if you lose your watch, and if it's precious to you, then that for you is not that for you can be very, very painful. Sometimes you might, it might be a very difficult thing to get over. It all depends on how attached you are. But you think in your mind that you own the watch, whereas in fact the watch owns you. Anything you own actually owns you instead. So then, when we say that a successful man is someone, man/woman, I just mean man in a very general term, in a very general way. When you say that a successful man is someone who has a lot, or whatever their mind wants, actually what it is there are a lot of things that own him. That cannot be success, can it? Means you're a slave to many masters. If you're a slave to many masters, how can that be success? How can that be freedom? Being a slave to one master is bad enough, but being a slave to lots and lots and lots of masters, don't they control your happiness? The things that you own, don't they control your happiness? The last time you were unhappy, was it not because something you thought you owned was either lost or taken away from you, or changed in some way that you didn't like? Whether that was a person or a material object. Let's say there was a house that you really like to buy. So not an everyday example, but from time to time you'll have this experience. You go house hunting. Right? Then you go and have an open day or something, you look, see the house, and then you will really set your mind at it, you want to buy it, and then you put down a deposit or whatever. But the following day, the broker comes back and says, I'm sorry, we cannot go ahead with the sale. But now by that point, you've already imagined living in the house, you know where you put your furniture, you know where you're going to sit down and have your tea, where you're going to be with your dog, where you're going to have your fish tank, where you're going to have your library. All of that you've already done up in your mind. Or when all that comes collapsing down onto the ground, you feel like you are lost. But that house can accommodate just about anyone. So the house can do without you, but you can't do without the house. And the house doesn't maintain you. You maintain the house. So then you cannot really say that you own the house. The house owns you. How many houses do you have? How many properties do you have? Well, the answer to that is a problem. So one could say, I have a holiday home in this part of the country. This is my main home. Then I have another house in that part of the country. Right? When I go to see my uncles and aunts, there's another house that I'm at. Then I have a caravan somewhere here that I go and spend some time there. Right? So you have lots of different properties. And you say, these are my properties. Actually, they're not your properties. You are their properties. But that's not the way that we see the world today. Now contrast that with the life of a monk, or a life of, not necessarily a monk, a person who has little. Now under the Rajagiriya bridge, I always say there are some beggars. I don't know if you've seen them, yeah? Under the highway. Not the highway, what do you call it? The bridge, yes, the bridge. So there are some beggars there. When they travel, they have little to carry with them. They have little to carry with them. I've seen sometimes there's some cardboard things and a few little bric-a-brac. That's all they have, and they don't need a car to transport everything they need. They move from one place to the other. I'm not suggesting for one moment that they are successful. I'm not suggesting that. That would be foolish for me to say that you're a failure and they're a success. That's not what I'm suggesting. The reason that they're not successful is not because they have little. They're not successful because they still want a lot. They want, but they can't have. The difference between them and you is you want and you can have. They want and they can't have. So when you have the wantings, on that scale, everyone's the same. There's one who wants and can have, then there's the ones who want and cannot have. But they both suffer because they both want. That is not success. A successful person is someone who has realized that happiness is not in these things. It's not in the car, it's not in the property, it's not in the house, it's not in the money, it's not in food, it's not in this, it's not in dancing, it's not in singing, it's not in the TV, it's not in the smartphone, it's not in any of these objects, it's not in traveling. Happiness is with me, within me. That is a successful man because he owns himself. And no one can claim him. Who owns the Buddha? He owns himself. Because nothing can shake him. Who owns the Arahant? The Arahant owns himself. The Arahant owns herself. My appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, is to step in that direction. I don't really mind how much you use. It's okay to use as much as you want. Whatever you can afford, buy it, use it. That's okay. But don't be owned by it. Buy it, but don't be owned by it. Whatever your possessions are, make use of it, but don't be owned by it. Just think about mentally. Mentally think about it. If there's anything that belongs to you that is taken away from you without warning, how would that make you feel today? And don't stop at just material things. You must also go one step further. Think about the people that you're surrounded by. If those things are taken away from you without warning, how would that make you feel? Maybe you have few relations, perhaps, but perhaps your joy is your house. Maybe your house proud. The house perhaps that you'd built with a lot of love, a lot of effort. Perhaps you, your husband, your children, you all got together and you built it. Maybe it was passed down to you by your family. And that has a lot of sentimental value to you. I want you to understand the risk that you're taking. This is a great peril. Because here's something, you're actually standing on a landmine. It's going to blow up any moment. Name one thing you can take with you. Name one thing then that really belongs to you. Nothing in this world belongs to you. All you can ask for is to let you have it until you are dead. Actually, everything is on a lease. This concept of belonging, right? That is flawed, don't you think? Because you can have freehold and you can have leasehold. In property terms, you understand this, right? What's the difference between a leasehold and a freehold? With a leasehold, it's only for a term. After that, you have to renew the lease. Otherwise, they take it away. And what's a freehold? Means it's yours forever. Yeah? Name one thing like that. Name one thing that you own freehold. There's nothing that you own freehold. Everything you have is on a lease. Because the moment you die, what happens? It's taken from you. The moment there's a tsunami, what happens? The moment there's an earthquake, what happens? The moment a volcano erupts, what happens? It's gone. So everything's on a lease. So try and bring yourself to this discipline where you consider that your job is simply to make use of things. Now, there's a little way that we use this at the monastery. I'll share that with you. This is something we practice, to be very mindful about our interactions and our relationship with the objects that we have around us. Okay? Our Swamin Wahan says, let's say they want someone to fetch something from the kuti. We have adopted this language because it helps us to be mindful, to say, Swaminathan, please could you go and fetch something from the kuti that I stay at or I live in, rather than my kuti. So if this is a vatate, we have adopted this language whereby we say, please can you go and get the vatate that I use? Not my vatate. It's not about the language. It's not just about the language. It's about the mindset. Because every time I remind myself that this is my vatate, there's a problem there. It's okay to say that this is my vatate as long as I'm thinking that this is not mine, it's just something that I use. But if my words are representative of my thoughts, now we have a problem. So to prompt us to be mindful and to be mindfully aware, we have adopted that language. How about you try doing that once in a while at home? This is not about the language that you use. It's about being mindful. So for example, if you want your child to go and get your glasses for you, instead of saying, Puta, can you go and get my glasses for me? What could you say? Puta. Or not say Puta even. Not my Puta. The Puta that I use. Okay, so Puta, what could you say? Can you please go and fetch the glasses that I use or I wear? Can you go and get the glasses that I use? Instead of saying my glasses. This is a kamatahana that I'm giving you right now. It's not about the language, I tell you again. It doesn't matter whether you say my glasses or the glasses that I wear. It really doesn't matter. But when you use this language, you have to be mindful. It's a bit like when Swaminathan says go here and there, we don't say api yanawa, right? What do we say? Vadinawa. And that to me is very beautiful. And there's a reason for that. We don't say api khanawa. Palandana. To me that is very beautiful because it reminds me to be mindful. To be mindful that I'm a monk and I have a purpose. It's not just the language. Otherwise, it's just one language replaced by another language. It's not that. It's not just one language replacing another language. It's about being mindful that I have a purpose now as a monk. So we don't say nana. We say pampahasvena. So these are words that we use in monastic life because it's a prompt for us to come back to mindfulness. What is my purpose? What am I here to do? These are all things that have been offered by devotees. Right? Am I being mindful and aware about how I use them? Or am I simply enjoying myself when I use these requisites? This is food that has been offered by requisites, by devotees, because of their devotion towards the Buddha, not towards me. Am I mindful about how I consume this? All that. So this is language that you can adopt rather, to help you become mindful. So if you want to get a book, I'm going to go bring my books. You could either say that, or I'm going to go and bring the books that I use. I'm not suggesting that it might be appropriate everywhere. Maybe not at the workplace. People will think you're weird. So, can I switch on the computer? Can you switch on my computer, bring my laptop? Versus, can you bring the laptop that I use? Maybe acceptable in some places. Maybe people might give you a funny look. Perhaps maybe the first time, the second time, third time, they're like, yeah, he's weird. But if it helps you as a kamatahana, right, just to be mindful that what is mine? What is there that belongs to me? This is not mine. I use it. That's it. What right do I have to call this mine? What about this robe? Is this my robe? What am I doing right now? I'm using it. That's it. This is the only relationship I have with this robe. I use it. That's the only relationship I have with this robe, ladies and gentlemen. I use it. What about my toothbrush? I use it. It's not my toothbrush. So even to that extent, now of course, if someone uses a toothbrush, you're not going to share it with anyone else. Obviously. But at the monastery, if you wanted someone to grab a toothbrush for me, right, just as a favor, you'd still say, Swaminasa or Anagarika, please can you go and bring the toothbrush I use? It's in the washroom. So it's kind of like a language we have adopted to help us to be mindful that these are merely things that we use, nothing belongs to us. So when you go home and you see your husband today, oh, you want to talk to your child and you want to send a message for that. Now you laugh, huh? That you find funny, because you know that is true. That's why you find it funny. You find it funny because you know it is true. Let's be honest. Gents. Ladies, don't listen to this, okay? I'm just talking to the gents. Not for the ladies. Plug your ears up. Gents. Let's have a heart-to-heart. You really use your wives, don't you? That's what they're there for, right? Because when you're vexed and you want to see something that pleases you, you use your wife. When you're vexed and you want to hear something that pleases you, you use your wife. When you're vexed, I won't continue. Because from here on, it won't be appropriate for me to say this. Or when you're vexed about something and you want to talk with someone, again you use your wife. Okay, now ladies, gents don't listen to this. Ladies. The same concept applies. This is a relationship of utility. That's what it is. Like you have the utilities at home, telephone, electricity, water, husband, wife. These are utilities. You know it is true. How come I don't have one? How come I don't have a wife? I had one. I don't have one now. And don't tell me it's because you're a Swaminwanse. That's not why I don't have a wife. I don't have a wife because I have no use for a wife anymore. That's why I don't have a wife. Because even if I do X, I don't look for answers in sight. Even if I do X, I don't look for answers in sound. Even if I do X, I don't look for answers in smell, taste, or touch. Because I know that the only solution to vexation is the Dhamma. And I don't marry a wife to give me the Dhamma. That's what I have a teacher for. So in my life, all my problems can be solved by my teacher. I'm talking about mental problems. Physical problems, food, shelter, arms, and robes. Beyond these four things, I don't need anything else to sustain my body. But for mental problems, I need the Dhamma. So none of these things that I need for my mind can be provided by a wife. Because what can a wife give me? Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But I have understood that that is not the answer to life's or to the mind's problems. So it's not because I'm a monk or a monastic that I don't have a need for a wife. It's because I have realized, ladies and gentlemen, that in sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch do not lie the answers that I seek when I'm vexed. Therefore, my wife is not my temple. A wife is not my temple, but she used to be. Until I took refuge in the Dhamma. Who do they say is a Buddhist? How do you become a Buddhist? Typically they say when you take refuge in the Noble Triple Gem, right? So if someone is a non-Buddhist, well, how do they typically become a Buddhist? You typically tend to take them to the temple, sit them down in the sound of the Swaminathan, and Swaminathan explains what they're about to do, make sure that he wants to become a Buddhist, and then say, okay, repeat after me. And the Swaminathan says, Buddhang Saranang Gaccha, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, and then he gives the precepts. So someone who has taken refuge in the Noble Triple Gem and have observed the five precepts, conventionally they say that is a Buddhist. So if a Buddhist is someone who has sought refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, what are they doing with a wife? What are they doing at the TV? What are they doing at a restaurant? Tell me this, please. What do you need Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha for? It's when the mind vexes. Because Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha can't give you anything else other than a solution to mental vexation. What else can Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha give you? Anything? No, right? That's all the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha can give you. A solution to mental suffering. That's it. Agreed or not? That's all the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, the Noble Triple Gem can offer you, a solution, a permanent solution to mental suffering. Then, if you consider yourself to be someone who has sought refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, my next question is, what is the TV doing at home? What are you doing at the restaurant? What are you doing with a wife? What are you doing with a husband? What are you doing with chocolate cheesecake? What are you doing with a biscuit? What are you doing with a pudding? What are you doing traveling the world? What are you looking for? You cannot be both a Buddhist and someone who watches TV for entertainment. You can't be both at once. Now I know what you're probably thinking, Swaminathan. All this while we thought that we were good. At least we had that. At least I was a good Buddhist. Then I came to Rajagiriya, and now you stole that from me as well. This is not about me taking away your Buddhistness. This is me inviting you to become a true Buddhist. Now that is where you have to draw the line, ladies and gentlemen. If this is the line that you have to cross to become a Buddhist, on this side, right? This is non-Buddhist and this is Buddhist. On this side, here's what people do. When they have mental vexation, they go seeking refuge to other things. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, whatever. If you are a Buddhist, when you have mental suffering, you seek refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That's the only thing. Simple as that. I mean, what else do you get from Buddhism, if not that? Has Buddhism ever paid your bills? Has it ever paid your rent? Paid the finance on your car? Can you ever go to the temple and ask for a loan? No, Buddhism doesn't offer you anything else. It doesn't give you a meal, it doesn't teach your children. Yeah, you can't go and give your children to Buddhism and say, can you teach them for me? Right? So there's nothing you get from Buddhism. So the Buddha only gives you The Buddha is a doctor. The Buddha is a doctor. Just like you don't go to your doctor and ask for anything other than treatment for a physical condition you might have, in the same manner, you don't go to the Buddha and ask for anything else other than freedom from mental suffering. So when you go to the Buddha and say, Buddha, from here on you are my refuge, then the Buddha says, okay, the Dhamma is what you have to understand and Sangha is what you have to do. This is your pratipada. This is your practice. Understand the Dhamma and practice Sangha. Together you will arrive at Buddha. This is what the Buddha teaches you. So if you genuinely seek refuge, the word refuge is a very, very profound word, ladies and gentlemen. You mustn't take it lightly. To take refuge means I surrender myself entirely. I'm at your mercy. This is what taking refuge means. Have you not heard of people who apply for asylum as refugees? Yeah? So when there are problems in a certain country, there are countries who offer asylum, and then they go as refugees. So when you apply for asylum, you have to prove that you cannot survive in the country of your origin on their own. That there's no hope for survival there. So you have to surrender yourself. And then they take you on. All aspects of your life, and then they look after you. That is taking refuge. One condition of giving a refugee or asylum is that you cannot return to your home country. If you return to your home country, they won't take you back again. That is a condition. So then, if you take refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, you cannot return to what? You cannot return to your TV. You cannot return to the restaurant. You cannot return to sensuality. You cannot go back to the cinema. You cannot go back to the theaters. You cannot go back to music. You cannot go back to movies. So I know that none of this is going to actually make any difference. But my job is to explain to you what true refuge actually means. Your job is to understand and do it to whatever extent you can. Like I sometimes feel like this might feel very unfair. But I don't feel this is misplaced. Because I know at the end of the day, you and I don't have different rules. We all have to play by the same rule book. But I say this so that it might inspire you to at least resolve, like, one day, if I can spend one day without my TV. How about that? Take refuge in the Noble Triple Gem genuinely for one day. Try that out. Here's what you have to do. On that day, for mental vexation, you do nothing other than Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Nothing other than that. So you can't walk up to the kitchen, open the fridge and see what's in there and, dig yourself in and have some of that. No. If there's something that if you don't eat today, you have to throw in the bin, that goes in the bin. See, these are some of the excuses that you tell yourself. I only ate it because otherwise, waste of money. And it's not good to waste. How many times have you told that to yourself and put something into your body that you shouldn't have, and then you go to the doctor and get cholesterol tablets and diabetes tablets? Isn't that waste of money? And then you have to go to the gym and push those weights and pull those things in. Isn't that waste of money? Because you shove things inside you that you don't need, but you only have to do it because you tell yourself, shouldn't waste. Don't fool yourselves. It's better in the bin than make yourself a bin. Most people use their stomachs as a bin. Just because they can't throw it in the trash bin, they put it into themselves. Now who's the bin? That's what you've done. Give yourself more value, ladies and gentlemen. Give yourself more value. Don't undermine yourselves like that. Just because These companies want to feed you stuff. Doesn't mean you should just open your gob and let anyone stick anything down it. Don't do that. There's a saying that says your body is your temple. Do you treat it as such? When you come to the arami, do you bring your trash and leave it there? You don't, right? You never do that. So why do you put trash into this temple? Your mind and your body, this is your temple. You have to protect it, you have to look after it. No one is going to do that for you. There was an Anagarika Buddha. Well, there was a young man who used to come to Rajagiriya. He is now an Anagarika at the monastery. You might have seen him on your visits there. He's been with us for a few months now. Now he's earned his Patkare and he's got his arms bowed. He's lost over 30 kilos, 35 and counting. Most of you know who I'm speaking of. There was a time where he used to come and talk to me at the end of sermons. He used to come and ask me, Swaminatha, what's the solution? The problem was obvious, he didn't have to ask me. What's the solution, Swaminatha? I said, the Dhamma is the answer. Nothing else. His parents love him to bits. But at home, they couldn't find a solution for him. But fortunately, as a family, they came on this path, on this journey. That's the most impactful thing, and that's the most significant change that happened in his life. Well, that was the catalyst of all that change. The whole family took on this journey. Miracles happened then. It was not just the father or the mother or the son. All three of them, they came on this journey. From the start, they were here. Very intelligent boy. He was very inquisitive. At the end of sermons, he used to have questions, and some questions I said, not yet, wait. Before you ask me those questions, there are things you have to understand, and then the answers will become obvious to you. You always try to piece things together and try and make sense of it. But he didn't stop there. He was not merely a place where he came to study the Dhamma. He came here to study life, which is always my invitation to all of you. Come here to study life. You don't get a certificate when you come to this place. You get your life back. Do you need a certificate as well? If you can get your life back. People come here because they've lost their lives. So we help you find your life again. The meaning of life. So that is what happened with this boy. Very affectionate. Such a lovable person. But he said, Swaminatha, people don't like to be friends with me for very long. They don't associate with me much. And sometimes I lose my temper. Because I have problem when I want things, I want it. Just like anyone. How do I cope with that? When these emotions strike me, what do I do? I said, Buddha, wait, hold on. Don't rush. Let's take it one step at a time. You just come along to the sermons and listen to what Swaminatha says. Let the change happen within you. Don't try to force yourself to do anything. On several occasions, he came and asked, Swaminatha, can I come and become an Anagarika? I said, Buddha, wait. Not yet. Hold on. But then at one point the time was right. And then we invited him to take that step, which he did. So with his parents' blessings, he came to the monastery. When he first walked in, he looked like a baby elephant. But now, you should see him. He's a changed man. The other day, there were a few people working at the monastery, and this boy was one of them. And when some Swaminwasis were discussing who was who, they couldn't pick him out of the crowd because now he's gone down in size and he's now become like the rest of us. And along with that, the joy, the happiness, and the fulfillment that he was always looking in life, he has found it. You know what happened? Those days, food was his temple. His computer was his temple. He couldn't give it up. Technology was his temple. I'm sharing this story, ladies and gentlemen, because here are individuals who are great warriors. They come out of their comfort zones. People who are not just here for the sake of being here. I'm not suggesting that you are, but because it's not right for me to say that. But you must know whether you are here just because you have to be here. People who come here because they want to make a change in their lives, because they are seeking the truth, and he found it. When he first came to the monastery, he struggled to even sit on the floor. With us in the morning to chant Pirit and do the Buddha Puja and everything, he was given a separate chair because he couldn't sit himself down and be comfortable like that. He was very uncomfortable. He was a big man. But now from afar, you can't tell him apart from anyone else. And today he sits down on the floor with his back straight. And when we do the rituals in the morning, the prayers and all that, just like every other Anagarika Mahanta, with his hands to his forehead and back straight and with his knees like cross-legged. You wouldn't imagine what a transformation has happened in a man's life. And he often comes and does merit work around Guru Handra's kuti. I mean, isn't that alone enough? Even if he gets nothing more out of it. So Mondays and Tuesdays we do merit work at the monastery, maintenance work mainly. He always gets his duty around Guru Handra's kuti, among other places. But I have seen him a lot there lately. Today his happiness is not bound to the computer games, videos, movies, technology, food, nothing. I remember once he came and told me, Swaminatha, sometimes when I want something, I want it now. Otherwise I get really agitated. Sometimes I get very irritated. And sometimes I even raise my voice. And he told me, I fear that sometimes I raise my voice even with my beloved mother and my father. And I know it's bad. But I end up doing it. I can't live like this, Swaminatha. I don't want to be this person that I am. Help me. What can I do? He said, Dhamma, nothing else. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. See, he actually sought refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. He truly sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Now he has no computer, no TV, no food that he can choose to eat. He only eats what we all eat. The first few weeks he spent time in the kitchen, not eating, but cooking for you all. Every Saturday he would be in the kitchen making rotis. Very hardworking. Even back then he was very ambitious, very dexterous, but the sheer body weight that he had to carry around with him made life very difficult for him. He couldn't hold a job for very long. But now he's found a job for life. His salvation and the salvation of others. Today he chants the Pirit. He has by-hearted many of the Pirit Sutras. Observes the Dasasil every morning and every night. He is worthy of your worship, ladies and gentlemen. He is worthy of your worship today. Because he took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. I speak specifically about him because you can see the physical transformation. But that is not a small feat. For a man to lose 35 odd kilos in the span of a few months takes a great amount of courage and wisdom, because he was not forced to stay at the monastery. He could have left at any moment, because our gates are always wide open. It's difficult to get in. It's very easy to leave. He could have walked out any moment. He could have said, Swaminas, I can't take this. Right? Either give me what I want to eat, give me my computer games, or I'm going to leave. No. He never asked for that. You know why? He truly sought refuge, and he found it. Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That's why I say, if you are someone who has found refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing in front of a TV? This gentleman no longer sits in front of a TV and wastes his time there. If you have sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, what are you doing in front of a computer game? What are you doing in front of YouTube? What are you doing in front of Facebook and TikTok and this thing and that thing? What are you doing? What are you doing with music? He liked his music, but he realized in music there is no happiness to be found. The Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha are the only refuge that I have, and he took that refuge. He surrendered himself. That's what I mean. See, someone among you, what are you waiting for? I'm not talking about me. This is not my story. This is someone among you. Someone who got to hear the same sermons, someone who came the same Sundays, someone who had the same sandwich, no different. Someone who got to associate with the same community. He sat on the same chairs that you are sitting on right now. But today he's a warrior. Those days he used to be a warrior. Today he's a warrior. One is spelled with an O and the other is spelled with an A. Now he works with Guru Hamdra as well. The other day I saw him doing some merit work, and Guru Hamdra was giving him some instruction, do it this way, that way, and so on. See the association that he has won for himself because he took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Because the moment you take refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha are now bound to protect you. We are duty bound to the Buddha. Because then I cannot wash my hands and say, but I did a Sunday sermon to them. No. Once you take true refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, meaning you give up your TV, you give up your Facebook, you give up your this thing, that and the other thing. You give up your music, you give up your music. You give up your husband, you give up your wife. You give up your house, you give up your money. Meaning, let them be, but I don't want to use it from here on. I'm not saying you have to give it to someone. Let it be. But you don't seek pleasure in them. You don't go looking for happiness in them, because you have realized that happiness can only come from within. The day that you make that call, right? Genuinely. Not just a nice to say or to make me happy or makes anyone else happy. No. The day that you truly make that call is the day you put that patkade on your shoulder. That day, both Guru Hamdra and I, and all the other monks at the monastery, and all the Anagarikas and all the Anagarikas, we are all duty bound to protect you and to hold your hand to Nibbāna. Duty bound. That's why, right now the ball's in your court. First you have to throw it back to mine. Until then, I'm not allowed. By decree of the Buddha, I'm not allowed to do more than what I'm allowed to do. I cannot come behind you, I cannot inspect your everyday actions, I cannot ask you, I cannot interrogate you. I can only listen to what you have to say. I cannot ask you, I cannot prompt you, I cannot probe you, prod you, and ask you, why did you do that? Why did you look at that? Why did you talk to him like that? I can't do that. Because you have not accepted me as a teacher. Because only a teacher is allowed to do such things, right? Interrogate. But this gentleman, he offered himself. And he said, Natti me sarananganya, buddho me saranangvara. That's what I'm saying. So the day you are able to make that decision, things will begin to change. Right before your very eyes, things will begin to change, ladies and gentlemen. Until such time, right, these Sunday sermons, they will give you a bit of a boost. It's like me blowing up a balloon. But over the course of the week, what happens? There are other people who come and poke holes in that balloon and they let the air out. That is, I can't help it, and that's the way it is. Because people come and talk to you about movies and this and that and entertainment and hobbies and cake and restaurants and dancing and singing and enjoying and all these things. So they will let the air out of the balloon. And then you come back again on Sunday. And Swami Nivasa's job is what again? To pump air back into the balloon. So we can keep doing that until your time is done. Or until my time is done. This seat will not be vacant. Someone or the other will always come and be here. And someone or the other will always come and be in your seats, either you or somebody else. But the truth is, you only have one shot at this. When this life is gone, this life is gone. Whose association you are going to fall into in your next life is anyone's guess. And that is why we can only offer you a teacher if you are at least a Sila Shravika, a Sila Vasi, an Anagarika and above. That is because we are not allowed. The Buddha says, don't go behind people to try and impose the Dhamma on them. Because if they don't need it, you mustn't push it on them. And there's a reason for that. You can't understand the Dhamma that way. You have to be willing. You have to willingly accept it. And for that, you have to truly have sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So you have to be someone who is prepared to give up their TV, prepared to give up restaurants, prepared to give up movies, prepared to give up music, at least for a duration of time while you try it out. Because these are like many bridges that you have. When there's vexation, there are many bridges that you can choose to run. There's the TV, there's Facebook, there's movies, there's music, right? There's friends. You can pick any of these bridges. But if there's only one way out, and that is the Dhamma, that is the Sasana, if there's only one way out, now you have no other choice, right? That's why you have to burn the other bridges. You have to burn all other bridges, ladies and gentlemen. If you want Nibbāna, if you're serious about Nibbāna, you must burn down all the other bridges. And keep the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, or in other words, aka the Sasana, your only bridge. Seems unfair. Perhaps this is not what you wanted to hear me say. Perhaps you want me to dress this up in nice words and make it more palatable. I can. Oh, I can give you a nice story. I'm good at storytelling. I can give you a nice story, I can do a nice drama. But the truth is, I truly care about you. So I cannot give you just a nice story and walk out of here with an alms bowl full of food that you have offered to me, that you have woken up early this morning, cooked so hard, with so much love, affection, and devotion. If I come up here and just give you a tall tale, I don't think I'll be able to digest that food. I can't give you tall tales. I'm not a con man. I'm not a con artist. I'm not a conventional monk. You know that. Nothing I say is conventional. Everything is unorthodox. But you have given me the liberty to talk to you like this, I think. I have asked you, is it okay if I'm open and honest with you? It says, open-minded. See, a step-by-step practical guide to achieving the ultimate bliss of Nibbāna for open-minded people. I specifically asked him to put that word in there. It was not like that the first time it came to me. He didn't have that part. I said, no, put that in there. So that if ever someone comes and challenges some of the things, I say, oh, open-minded people. Open-minded means you must be willing for your existing worldviews, your opinions, to be challenged. Not just because, but with rhyme and reason, with logic. I've never asked you to just accept things for the sake of it, right? Have I? No, there's always a logic, rhyme and reason behind the things that we talk about here. So it's time you picked your temple. What is your temple? Is your home your temple? Is your TV your temple? Is YouTube your temple? Is Instagram your temple? You know that's your temple if, when you're vexed, that's where you find yourself. Simple. That's the simplest way to find what your temple is. At any moment in your day, right? At any moment in your day, when you're vexed, now if there's a piece of information that you have to find to get something done, that's not what I'm talking about, because that's not when you're vexed. Let's say, for example, you're planning this weekend to go somewhere, right? And you have to check whether there's going to be a curfew. Just for argument's sake, there's probably a website on which they publish this information. Maybe there's a social media site on which people share this information. And you're going there for that purpose, I get it. Yeah, perfectly fine. That's not what I mean. But if you're there because you're vexed, for vexation, you want to listen to music. For vexation, you want to go out somewhere and eat something nice. That is not the time when you have sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That's a time where you have forsaken the Buddha. When you turn your back to the Buddha stops preaching. It's always like that. That is why he advised us, don't ever preach to someone who's turned your back towards you. Meaning, don't go behind people talking to them. This is both metaphorical and literal. If you have your back turned towards me, I will not preach to you. That's because you don't want to listen to what I have to say. It's fine. Maybe not today, but perhaps tomorrow you will want to. Because if I continue talking to you when you don't want to listen to me, you will never want to again. It is also done out of compassion. It is not done out of spite. It's only done out of compassion. Because if you try and push something on someone, they don't need it, at a time they don't need it, what happens? Then they will fall out with it. They will not like it. They will hate it. Potentially they could even hate it and despise it. But this is a call, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you. This is a call. When I'm off the Dharmasana, I may not be like this. I'm a different creature then. We talk very friendlily, and it's a different persona. But here we are serious. This is Nibbāna. If I meet you on the street, I'm not going to talk to you about these things. I'll ask you how you're doing, how your day is going, and if you've been well, right? Whatever information I may know about you, I might ask you about that. But now, this is serious. We are here for business. This is where we talk about what's going to happen to you, your fate, and what your destiny is. I can show you what your fate is, but you have to understand that you make your own destiny. I haven't even started to talk about the four great hells, have I? It's a topic we've always postponed, always kept on postponing. Because I've tried to approach you through wisdom, through intellect. I've tried to appeal to your intellect and left many of the gory details about the four great hells to a side, as if the four great hells didn't even exist. Some of you probably even think they don't. But that's okay, because your fear of the four great hells is not what's going to stop you from going there. That's not good. That you could be dead scared of the four great hells, that's not going to stop you from going to the hells. It's only your understanding of the Dhamma that's going to stop you. Temporarily, you might avoid it by doing good deeds, merit, and try and avoid it temporarily. But to be permanently, right, to permanently stop yourself from going to the four great hells, only the Dhamma is your refuge. Becoming a Sotapanna is the only answer. And becoming a Sotapanna requires understanding of Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta. The day you have understood Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta is the day that you say, Buddhaṃ Saranam Gacchāmi. That is why that is the day a true Buddhist is born. Because here's the thing, the day you have understood Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta is the day you realize that suffering is made here within me. Is the day that you realize that pleasure is also made within me. That's the day you realize the Four Noble Truths for the first time. Listening to the Four Noble Truths, understanding the Four Noble Truths is one thing, but comprehending it is another. Your comprehension of the Four Noble Truths is the day you have understood Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta. And on that day, you have become a Buddhist. Becoming a Buddhist doesn't mean you now have to wear a robe. It doesn't mean you have to start going to the temple. There may be many Buddhists among you, true Buddhists among you, who still frequent church or go to the mosque, and that's okay. But here's what they won't do. When they're vexed, seek refuge in television. They won't do that. So, you must never direct a question at me in these words. Swaminatha, am I a Sotapanna? Have I understood Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta? I don't know. I don't know whether you can judge that for yourself either, whether you have become a Sotapanna, but here's what you can decide for yourself, whether you have some understanding of Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta, and that is, when you're vexed, do you apply the Dhamma to free yourself of that vexation, or do you take yourself and go and sit yourself in front of a game of cricket? Or do you take yourself and sit yourself in front of a movie? Or do you put on your headset and start listening to some music? Or do you go to have a party? Or invite your friends round? Or just give your best friend a call and just talk things through to try and get that vexation off your chest? Or do you go comfort eating? Is that your relief of vexation? That's how you know. So I don't have the answer to that question, only you do. And I don't need to know what you do either, because you could come and tell me anything, right? I'm not suggesting that you come and make up stories, but personally, I don't need to know that. My job here is to give the Dhamma to anyone and everyone who wants it, who needs it, and who will make use of it. I trust that you are all like that. But please understand, ladies and gentlemen, my trust is going to get you nowhere. Right? I trust you. I will wholeheartedly trust you. But my trust does not get you anywhere. But if you are true to your word, if you have truly sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, whereby when vexation strikes you, you can contemplate the Dhamma. You can contemplate the Dhamma and come out of that vexation with no other refuge, without switching on that TV. Without switching on that TV. Without resorting to YouTube. Without walking into the kitchen and opening the fridge. If you can find, through the Dhamma, answers to your own vexations, that is your victory. So then, who can answer that question? Whether you have understood the Dhamma, only you can. That's why I give you examples of that boy who was among you. Someone who, when vexed, sought refuge of his TV, of his computer, of video games, movies, music, technology. That was his big thing, technology. He always had to keep himself up to date with the latest technologies. That was his life, that was his bread and butter. He needed it and nothing else. You put him in front of a computer, you could have left him there for a whole week. Just make sure that he's fed and he's okay. That was the life that he spent, human life. But all that changed because he realized the Dhamma. You know, this is a person who was among you. That's why I share this story with you. All the other Anagarikas, right? You only saw them when they brought Swami Nwanse here, right? They drove Swami Nwanse to the monastery. Sorry, to this temple. That's when you met them. But this particular gentleman, he was among you. And then there were three other Anagarikas who were also among you. 2 sisters and one other lady. They were also among you. Now they're at the monastery. There were also those who went to work looking for comfort, sat in front of a TV looking for comfort. Their parents were trying to get them married off, because that's what most parents do. When it's time, then the best thing to do is to find refuge in a husband. That's what the parents wanted for the 2 sisters. But they would have none of it. That's not what they wanted, because they realized, ladies and gentlemen, that any man who comes and kneels in front of them is not a man who has happiness. Any man who comes and proposes to them, "My dear, please would you marry me," is a beggar. And they were not interested in getting married to beggars, because they were bound to become great queens. Queens don't get married to beggars. Is it not begging? You don't like to think it as begging because you don't like to think your future husband was a beggar. But that was begging of one sort or the other. "Please, will you marry me?" Isn't there a plea? What does it say? "I'm not happy right now. You're the one who has my happiness. Please, will you give it to me?" Any woman with a sane mind must think, right? If this guy doesn't have happiness, why am I getting myself into this relationship? What can he offer me that I don't already have? But people don't think that, because they just follow what everyone else does. That's why you all have a TV at home, because your neighbors had one. Your parents had one, so you got one. That's why you have a TV at home. There's no other reason why you have a TV at home, because they taught you, when you're vexed, Putta, go sit in front of the TV and watch some TV. If you're stressed at work, watch some TV. If you're stressed doing studies, watch some TV, relax. That's why you have a TV at home. That's why you have the radio at home. You can argue all you like, but that's the truth. Let's be honest, you didn't just bring that home to, get your news for the day, just to be abreast with what's going on. No, that was for entertainment, which was also used to watch news. That's what it was. This is a plight that humanity keeps on driving itself to. I can't save the world, ladies and gentlemen. I really can't. I'm not Superman. I can't save the world. But I can save you from the world. I can't save the world. I can save you from the world. I can save you from the world by showing you what you're doing to yourselves when you're ignorant, when you don't have noble association. When you fall into bad association, I can show you what you're doing to yourselves. Unbeknown to you, your life is being lapped up by all these sensual pursuits. Today, to the point that you have forgotten what you were born into this world for. Most people think that now that they're born, they just have to get through life until they're dead. This is like an 8-year-old long life sentence. For most people, life is like that. It's a life sentence. It's not just life, it's a life sentence. 80 long years we have to do this, and we have to do something to take our time up. That's why people are always busy doing something, because they have to do something. You can't just be sat down doing nothing, because your mind is always vexing. So you'd always be doing something. And that something means you have to have a TV at home so that you can watch something. You have your music so you can listen to something. You have to have food in the fridge so you can always eat something. That's why you need it. That's why you have to have your biscuits and your murukku and your this and that, because you can always eat something when you want it. That's why you have your flower bed at home, so you can go and smell something. And also you bring a partner. See, your life revolves around sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. Pleasing your eyes, pleasing your ears, pleasing your nose, pleasing your tongue and pleasing your body. Is that what it means to be you? Come on. Come on. What have you done to yourselves? And why do you continue doing this to yourselves? People among you are hearing the wisdom, hearing the truth behind these words, and they're rising up from the ashes. People among you are doing it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I no longer need to share my story. I'm sharing with you stories of people who have lived among you, listened to the Dhamma and been around you and among you. Their lives are beginning to change. When is yours going to? When is yours going to? Are you waiting until that call from your doctor to say, you only have another 6 months left? I'll guarantee one thing to you though. When you get that call, you'll be outside the monastery gates at the drop of a hat. If your doctor rings you right now and says, you only have 6 months left, you will be right outside the monastery gates. And you'll say, Swaminathan, I only have 6 months left. Please save me, redeem me. I can't redeem you. The Dhamma is your only redemption. And the Dhamma takes time. Like all good things, it takes time. The Dhamma takes time. I've been ordained for the last 9 years. I'm not yet an Arahant. The Dhamma takes time. I've been a monk for the last 9 years and I'm not yet done with my journey. If that takes time, imagine how long this is going to take. If that takes time. Having Guru Handra always around the corner. Having the Mahasangha always bumping shoulders with me. If that takes time, well, what are you thinking about? What are you talking about? That's why it's imperative that you immerse yourself in this as diligently as you can. Anicca, dukkha and anatta should be your life's philosophy. It should be in the breath that you take in, through to your lungs. It should be the blood that runs through your veins, ladies and gentlemen, the Dhamma. So I ask you one final time, have you sought refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha? If you have, what do you find yourselves doing in front of a TV? What are you doing in front of a TV? If you tell me, Swaminatha, I don't do it for my sake, I only do it because my family expects me to do that, because I have to get along with them, okay, I understand. Then you should be able to watch what's on screen and contemplate the Dhamma. But if you get carried away, and now you sat down there because you wanted to be with your family, but now you are enjoying the movie, at that moment, you have forsaken the Buddha. If when you're vexed, your headphones come on and your music starts playing through your ears, then where's Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha at that time? Where's the Buddha at the time? That's not what the Buddha taught. The Buddha said, anicca, dukkha, anatta, contemplate the Dhamma. Each chitta is responsible. Don't forget that. Each chitta of yours is responsible. I can show you your fate, but you have to decide your destiny. You tell me what your destiny is, and I'll tell you what your fate is. I'm not admonishing you, I hope you understand that. This is not admonishment. This is I care. Because I don't know what you do outside these four walls. Because if you're with me, I know what you're doing. I know what that Putta is doing right now. He's under the watchful care of the Mahasangha. I know what those three duas are doing right now. The two sisters and the other Mahatma. They are under the watchful guidance of her fellow Anagarikas. They are looked after. They are guided. But I don't know what you're doing, because you don't let me into your life. You only give me 1/14 of a week. You only give me a Sunday morning. And you said, no son, don't come anywhere near. Right? After Sunday, don't ask what we do after Sunday. That's personal. See, that's the thing, it's personal. That's the problem, it's personal. Means they all nurture the person, the self. It's personal. So you have a personal life, don't you? That's the problem. You have a personal life. You have a private life. That's the problem. Once again, I apologize if this is misplaced, not because you're wrong or bad or anything, but I'm telling you, I'm suggesting you, or I'm sharing with you things that you're going to struggle to do. I know it's difficult. I know it's probably almost impossible. But in and amongst you will be those for whom this is not yet an impossibility. Perhaps it's only an improbability, because you are not working hard enough to make those chances, turn those chances to your favor. So right now it's only an improbability, not an impossibility. So if it's an improbability, how about you try and make it a probability? Turn the circumstances in your favor. Do something. So next time you sit in front of that TV, ask yourself, am I sat here because I need some information that I have to take from this program? Or am I sat here because I want to entertain myself? If you're there to entertain yourself, at that moment you have forsaken the Buddha. You have turned, literally imagine in your mind, the Buddha sat there looking at you and you turn your back on him. You turn your back to him and you look at the world out there and go, Natti me saranang anyang, TV me saranang varang. If you find yourself going to the restaurant, not because that is the most convenient way to find something to eat, that's okay. Right? I'm not suggesting that if you have money, if you can afford it, you don't have to cook. Don't have to. You just need to find some way to fill your stomach, right? And something nutritious. So if buying your food from a restaurant is the easier, more convenient way to do it, fair enough. That's not a problem. But if you're doing it for the sake of pleasing yourself, your tongue, your smell, your senses, your body, then imagine yourself in your mind. The moment you step out of your house to go to the restaurant, the Buddha's there and you've just turned your back to him and said, Natti me saranang anyang, restaurant me saranang varang. Because I tell you this, I don't want you in 5 years' time from now to come and ask me, Swami Nuhansa, I did everything you told me to do. I came to the sermons, I listened to all of them, I practiced them. How come I'm still in samsara? I want you to know today the answer to that question. The question is, you've promised to seek refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha while you are here. When I precepted you, you took on the precepts. When I said, let's make this pledge of allegiance, you did that, yes. But the moment you walked out this door, your conscience knows what you actually did when your mind vexed. If at those moments of vexation, you opened your eyes, you opened your ears, you stuck out your tongue, you took in the aroma, and you put out your hands and legs and all that and start to feel what was out there to please yourself and free yourself from vexation, please don't ask me, why am I still stuck in samsara? That is the reason. There's no fast track, ladies and gentlemen. I wish there was. I can't bypass you and take you to Nibbāna. I wish I could. There's no pill that I can just say, open your mouth, stick your tongue out, and there you go. Nibbāna. I wish there was. This takes endurance. It takes time. It takes resilience. It takes patience. It takes practice. It takes everything in the book. This is more difficult than fighting a war. This is more difficult, much more difficult than fighting a war. Because when you're fighting a war, you need weapons and you need skill to use your weapons. You can ask for help from others, you can have allies. But when you're fighting yourself, you only have you and the Dhamma. That's why they say, Dharmaya obey, nothing else is there for your refuge. Your teachers can guide you when you ask them. See, if the Buddha were around, he would be able to look at you and go, right, that's the wrong kamatahana, that's not the one you should be doing right now. Do this instead. You're in the wrong place, get up, go there, sit down there and start doing it from there. The Buddha could have done that, but today we don't have the luxury of having the Buddha with us. So what you're doing in your own mind, only you know. When you sit down for meditation, whether you're actually meditating or you're dreaming and you've actually fallen asleep for the last half an hour, only you know. Only you know. No one else does. When I'm talking to you, whether you're actually paying attention to what I'm saying or you're already planning your lunch in your mind, if you're in a dream world right now, fantasizing, what you're going to be doing for lunch, you're collecting your friends from the airport and then taking them somewhere, just planning your whole itinerary for the evening, who knows? I don't know. But when everyone else starts nodding, you also start nodding. How can I tell? I ask a question, everyone nods, you look. Everyone's nodding, so no. I'm just trying to show you the size of the problem. Right? They are big shoes, ladies and gentlemen. They're big shoes. These shoes that I'm asking you to get into, they're big shoes. And it's going to take you some time. But your life is like a drop of dew on the edge of a blade of grass. One untimely breeze of wind will drop that drop dew of water, and that's it. So, don't despair. Don't despair, because desperation is also not the answer. If you despair, once again you are light years away from Nibbana. This is only to open your eyes to those who need a prompt and a reminder that you need to be doing more than what you're doing right now. Wake up. Please don't take life lightly. Life is a gift. Just as it was given to you, it will be taken away from you. It's a miracle that we are all still alive. Be grateful and be thankful. But don't stop there. Grab this opportunity that you have been given and do something for yourselves. Among you are doctors, engineers, lawyers, teachers, mothers, fathers, businessmen, women. At the last 20, 30, 40 years of your life, you have committed, devoted, sacrificed to build this great nation that we all share today. For that, I give you my gratitude. I pay my gratitude. Your hard work, labor and sweat you have shed on this soil. Today we live in this country in which we enjoy freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of religion. So much we have just taken for granted. All this because of your hard work. Whenever it happened, you were there to make those transformative decisions. You are part of history. And you will continue to be the cogs that turn this whole machine and keep it going. But in and amongst all that, if you forget why you were born as a human being, then your service to yourself is the only thing that will suffer. I have not forgotten why I came into this asana. I did not come to this asana to come to Rajagiriya on Sundays and give a nice sermon. That's not why I came to this asana. So whether you want to have me or whether you don't want to have me, that's okay. Because I have come to this asana for something else. When you want me to stop, I will stop preaching. When you want me to start, I'll start preaching. When you want me here, I'll arrive here. When you don't want me here, I'll stop coming. Because my task is something else. My purpose is something else. But are you just a doctor? Is that your purpose? So your purpose can only be fulfilled as long as there are patients waiting to see you. Is your purpose that of a teacher? So that your purpose in life can only be fulfilled for as long as there are students who come to learn from you. Is that your purpose? Then something's gone wrong. That is not your ultimate purpose. You have all been given the gift of life. You have all been given the gift of wisdom. You have all been given the gift of intellect and the Dhamma. Put all that together and now ask yourself, hey, with all this going for me, what must I be doing right now? So don't just take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha for the name's sake. Don't just make it a mantra or a chant that you do when you come here or before the start of a sermon or before you sit down for an almsgiving. It should be your philosophy. It should be in your DNA. It should be the rhythm that your whole existence, your whole being resonates to. Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Whenever there's a vexation, ladies and gentlemen, don't seek solutions elsewhere. Not for my sake, for your sake. That's why I ask you, next time you sit in front of that TV, ask yourself, am I sat here because I'm here to free myself of vexation, or there's something on TV that I need to find out and discover so that I can get on with my job. If it is the latter, so be it. If it's the former, Nibbāna is a light year away. That's why Guru Handra always says, Gihivataka sita, nivan dakinne kesed. He asks this question, how can one be in a lay practice, the lay practice, not lay clothes, the lay practice, how can one adhere to a lay attitude and get to Nibbāna? That would be the eighth wonder, if that ever happened. Because you know what the lay attitude is. When you're vexed, what? Switch on the telly. When you're vexed, go on YouTube. When you're vexed, pull out your smartphone and hit on the F button. Keep scrolling your vexation away. That's what they say you are supposed to do. When you're vexed, ring up your friends. When you're vexed, go to the beach. When you're vexed, go for a walk. When you're vexed, and so on and so forth. But none of these things is what a Buddhist does when they're vexed. None of these things are what a Buddhist does when they're vexed. Your Buddhism begins once you stop doing those things and start doing Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to hurt you, undermine your efforts or make you feel like you're not worth it. It's none of those things, although these words might make you feel that way. It's not the intention. I consider it my job to wake you up. I consider it my job. Whenever we worship the Buddha, I stand up and I look at him and I look at him, sir, Venerable Sir, what am I going to tell them today? And he always says one thing, the same thing, tell them the truth. So I have this dialogue with the Buddha when I get down there. And I ask him, sir, will they be able to bear the truth? Will they be able to stomach the truth? Is this going to be too much for them to bear? And the Buddha just looks at me. Say the truth. That's all he says. Speak the truth. I say, okay. So I come down, sit here, and I start speaking. So this is the truth. Sometimes the truth is bitter. But I can't give you a tall tale. I am a son of the Buddha. I can't give you tall tales. Because I don't want anything you have. I want what you are. So I can't give you tall tales. I'm not here for your money. I'm not here for your worship. I'm not here for the fame. I'm not here for glory. I'm not here for your respect. I'm not here for your alms food. I'm not here for your pirikat offerings. I'm here for you. I want you. I want to free consciousness from ignorance. That is my mission. Inside each and every one of you there is consciousness, but hijacked by ignorance. That is my mission. To free that consciousness from ignorance. And the only remedy for ignorance is wisdom. I cannot say anything other than the truth and free you from it. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing called a monk's life and a lay life. That's just a convention. Ultimately, there's actually no such thing. That's just a convention. I'm a monk, so I have a practice. You are a lay person, so you have a lay practice. No, that's just a convention. I'm a chitta, so are you. Suffering occurs here because of ignorance and attachment, and so does it happen there because of ignorance and attachment. It's not fair that you are still late. It's not fair. But what can I do, yeah? What can I do? Shall I leave you with a riddle? I have a little video to show you, but before that I want to leave you with a riddle. There's a plate. A plate. Okay? It's made of wood. What is it made of? Wood. And it's very expensive. It's very expensive. You can't usually find a plate, this kind of plate, for anything less than 30,000, 40,000 rupees. So they're usually very expensive. And anything north of that. So they can go up to hundreds of thousands. Plate. On this plate, of course, food is served. This food is delivered. It always has to be delivered to those who eat this food. Okay? And usually this plate is delivered in a procession. Perahara. Once they take it to those who look forward to consuming this meal, it is set down and they start eating it. Sometimes, actually, it takes them a long time to eat this. Sometimes it can take many months. 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, maybe sometimes even up to a year. And the best part of it all is, they don't just eat the food, they also eat the plate. That's the end of the riddle. Once again, there's a plate. It's made of wood. And it's not cheap. It's very expensive. And this plate on which you serve food, you have to deliver to those who consume it. And it is taken in a procession. Drums and all that, flags and so on. Once it's set down, those who consume the meal usually take a very long time to eat it. Sometimes months, maybe even up to a year, if not more. And once they're done eating, they don't just eat the food, they also eat the plate. That's the riddle. My question is, what is this plate called? What is this plate called? Think about it. I can hear a couple of answers, one saying Dhamma. Is the Dhamma made of wood? Did you catch the riddle? All of it? Yeah? You want me to go with it one more time? You got it, right? Okay. So the question to you is, give me one name for this plate. There's a name for this plate. There's one name for it. Have a think about it. Homework. Don't vex, okay? Think about what this food is, and we'll talk about it next week. I'll give it to you one more time. There's a plate. It's made of wood, and it's pretty expensive. The food that is served on this plate Right? Those who eat it don't come to the table and eat it. You have to take it to them. Okay? And it's usually taken in a procession. It's a perahara. Right? Drums and bells and flags and all the rest of it. And once they take it to that place and it is served, those who eat it take a long time to eat it and finish the meal. Yeah? And what's very special about it is they don't just eat the food, they also eat the plate. Give me one name for that plate. I'll leave you with that. Before we wrap up for today, so don't vex, okay? There's a real answer to this. This is not just a teaser. There's an actual answer to this. But I want you to think about it. Put on your thinking hats and you have something to work out for the next week. You can discuss amongst your friends, family, and see whether they can give you an answer. But it has to satisfy all of the requirements. So you can't say Dhamma because Dhamma is not made of wood. And you don't eat the Dhamma, do you? So that won't work. If you say life, some people might say mumbling life. Like, can it be life? Is life made of wood? No. So it has to fit all those requirements. Right. So that I'll leave you with. We've been talking about this for some time. And today I have a video to show you. You know that we have to take the Dhamma across the oceans and across the continents to people who are just as worthy of as each and every one of us. Today these sermons are heard by and listened to by many people around the world. Or at least some of whom have come and joined our ranks and they have started practicing the Buddha's teaching. Maitri Handru is one of them. Hemananda Handru is another one. Just to give one or two examples. I'm still waiting for the first foreign Anagarika Mahatmya. That is my dream, that very soon we will have one. So I hope this effort will also help with that. I really look forward to that, the first foreign Anagarika Mahatmya to join our family. Because that will open up a lot of avenues for women. And I'm a strong believer that women have to be given every opportunity, just as much as everyone is, because ultimately there's no such thing called a woman. There's just a chitta, consciousness. So every consciousness must be dealt with fairly. And for that, of course, we have to have the skill and talent of using language. It's one thing to be able to understand the Dhamma, but it's another to be able to express it and explain it in a way that makes an impact in the hearts and minds of our fellow human beings. Because if you speak in a language that someone understands, they can understand it. But if you can speak it in their own tongue, they can feel it. And that is what we want to do. We all know that English is an international language. That is not by choice. It is just the way the world is. And so, everyone at our monastery learns English. Everyone. No exceptions. Some Swami Mahanses, they have come from environments where they've never spoken a word of English. Never. And even they are willing to learn. Because they do it, because there'll be people either who will come to us from foreign countries, other countries, and we have to help them feel like this is home for them, at least at the beginning. And some others will travel the world, taking the truth to them. But for that, we need an immersive environment. I know that the level of English that I have been able to acquire today, I was able to because of the immersive environment that I had. Had I only learned English while I was in Sri Lanka, by going to school, learning English there, I may not have had this aptitude for English. That is not me boasting about anything, that is just me saying cause and effect. So if you can have the same effect by creating the same causes, by providing the same causes. Perhaps there are others who are far more talented. Maybe there are those among you who've never stepped outside our waters, but just through schooling and maybe at home, in your home environment, you heard English, you learned English, you practiced English, and English was a language that was spoken at home, and therefore you picked it up. And today you speak it as fluently as any other language. Maybe English is your mother tongue today, and that's fair enough. But for many, that is not true, and we have to create that immersive environment. And that is where we thought we should come up with this project, and we called it Little Britain. Britain because English, but that's not to say that Britain is the only country where English is spoken. English is spoken in many other parts of the world, and many countries, in many countries like Australia, Canada, the USA, English is the main language. But English is also strongly associated with Britain, and that just happened to be the name that we picked. Little because we want to create a little bit of Britain at our monastery where we can give people that immersive environment. Not just the language, but also introduce them to the culture. That's not to say our Anagarika Mahatmas and Swaminandas, you will see them sunbathing, because that's part of the culture. That's not that. We have to understand the culture. So we can talk to them and relate to them, right? If you don't understand someone's culture, how can you relate to them? You have to understand how they think. And for that, that cultural exposure is important. So that's what we are doing with this project. And so when I one day introduced that I had a plan and a dream to do something like that with you all, I remember you were very happy about the idea and you wanted all to be part of that. So then I realized that it could become more than just a dream and we could make it a reality. So we had discussions at the monastery with our Sangha Council and with Guru Hangro's blessings. We put together a little project. And today we have what it might look like once it's done. So I have a video to show you of what Little Britain will look like once the project is done. So this is an artist's impression of what that building is going to be. Every nook and corner of this building will be occupied by people. Monks, anagarikas, our children, noble Hartians, as well as visitors, both local and from abroad, who will come to learn the Dhamma, as well as immerse themselves in this environment so that they can equip themselves with linguistic skills and cultural awareness so that we can take the Buddha's teaching far and wide. You will find yourselves walking up and down the alleyways once the thing is done. So I want you to, first of all, in your hearts and minds, be part of this. And that doesn't require you to spend a penny. Your blessings itself will help us take this project a long way. Because a mind can do a lot more than pennies can. Your blessings is going to be a strong part of our mission. Be part of this. Even if you don't spend a penny, that's perfectly fine, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to be part of this. Want this to be a success. That's what I want you. I want you to want this to be a success. For that, how much do you have to spend? How much do you have to spend for that? Nothing. I want you to want this project to be a success. That's all. So be part of this. In heart and mind, be part of this. In part of your soul, be part of this. There will be those among you who can do a little. But that little is relative. For you, that little may be a lot. Do that. That's enough. To the beggar under the bridge, 5 rupees, 10 rupees might be a lot. Maybe that is his daily income. That's a lot for him. It's not the amount that matters. It's your commitment. It's your devotion to a cause. That's what I want from you. Because remember, I'm not here for what you have. I'm here for you, not for what you have. Because if you can commit yourself, heart and mind and soul to this project, and if you pray and wish and dream and fantasize about the success of this project, ladies and gentlemen, what you are devoting yourself is for the cause of Nibbāna. Not just for one individual, but for the whole world. We have a big part to play as Sri Lankans, as people who live on this very blessed land, who have been blessed with the Dhamma. We have a big part to play. We might be a very small island. We might be a very small island in this whole world, but so is the heart. It's a very small organ in comparison to the rest of the body. But the body won't survive without it. Just like that. We might be a small island, but if we have been blessed with the Buddha's teaching, then it is our responsibility to take it far and wide. So be part of that mission. Then there'll be those who have the liberty of having more spare. Perhaps they had planned out their businesses, maybe their income, maybe they have a fortune. If that is what you have, then do as you wish. But there is no demand here. Remember, you cannot win this by making demands on someone. This is Nibbāna. It has to be voluntary. Yeah? Nibbāna is always voluntary. So, if nothing more, what I want all of you to do now is to watch this video and to want this to be a success. Shall we watch it? Let me present to you Little Britain. What you saw in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, is not a building. It's a mission. These are the seeds that will go into saplings, that will go into great trees, and that will start to give shelter and hope and freedom and liberation to many people around the world. Today you enjoy this because you have it. You enjoy this because you can understand this language. We are a very small team. The Dhamma is yet to reach the masses, the multitude. If we have it, then whose task is it to take it to them? See, they don't know what they don't have, right? Those who don't know what they have, what they don't have. People across the world in other countries, they don't know what they don't have. We are the ones who know what we do have. So then it becomes undeniably our responsibility to take it to those who don't have it yet. Perhaps not everyone will take it, but that's okay. Because we don't have an expectation as such. Our task is to take the truth. I don't take attendance on Rajagiriya attendees, do I? Who comes, comes. Who doesn't come, doesn't come. That's okay. But I'm always here. There's one person who's always here. If there's a sermon, there's one person who's always here. That's a Swaminathan, because he's here without expectation. Only to give. It doesn't matter whether you take it or not. But it matters to you that you take it. So let's make this happen. But once again, I emphasize this point. This is not to say that you have to now go spending on this. That's not what I mean. First, I want you to want this to happen, to want this to make this a reality. In your hearts and minds, I know you can bless this and it doesn't cost you anything. If that's the best you can do, sadhu sadhu. So be it. There will be your friends perhaps, colleagues, maybe the company you work for. They like to invest in these kind of projects. Perhaps they have CSR projects that they get involved in. This is not religious. This is about taking the truth. But if you introduce them to us, we can talk to them. But they'll take your word because you work for them. They trust you, but they may not trust us initially until they have heard what we are trying to do and our message. Perhaps that's how you can support. Maybe there are members of your family who perhaps have spare cash. Maybe people who like to support these initiatives, perhaps education, because education is something that people around the world, they care about. And this project is mainly going to be around education. So if there are those like that, perhaps your role is simply to introduce them to us. That's what I mean. It's not just about what's in your bank account and what's in your pocket. Don't think about this project in those very limited, restrictive terms. Think broader than that. Think about how we can get people involved in this. Because remember, in giving, people get. The other day, someone came and asked me, Swaminathan, he's a Srila Shravaka at our monastery. He came and asked me, Swaminathan, you have this new Dhamma hall that's being constructed, right? I said, yes. How long is it going to take, he asked me. I said, it might take around the next 3 or 4 years. Then he asked, Swaminathan, I would like to contribute towards this project. He said, I would like to buy the Buddha Pilima Vahanse to this project. I said, sir, that's a very noble thought, right? You have I rejoice in that, but you're already in the sasana, aren't you? You have already found refuge in the Buddha. So, how about, let's try and find other people who could also support something like that, and maybe that will be the first offering they ever make to the Sambuddha Sasana. If we can't find anyone, of course you're there. But you're already there. You're already invested in the Buddha Sasana. So let's go and find someone you may know, maybe the company you work at. Perhaps they might be happy to support something like this. If so, let's get them on board. Because they may never have heard the Buddha Dhamma. Maybe they have never offered anything to the Buddha Sasana. And if you haven't offered, you don't get anything back. Because what you give is what you get. So let's create some avenues, let's create some opportunities for other people to get involved in this. That you can do without costing anything. So what you already have, ladies and gentlemen, I know is already available to the Sambuddha Sasana, which is great, right? But what I want you to start thinking is, how can I get other people involved? Because there are billions of people who will benefit from this. Let's get as many people as possible involved in this project so that they can all get some merits out of this and embark on a journey to their own salvation. I know that what I enjoy today was not some small, meager, menial little task that I did for the Sambuddha Sasana. It was a sansara's worth of sacrifice and commitment and devotion that has today earned me the right to wear this and bear these robes. That started somewhere. Someone held my hand and took me to a monastery, to a temple. And I was not prepared to cook food or spend any money on it. But someone took me to the monastery and said, here's already cooked food, why don't you offer to the Swaminathan? And that didn't cost me anything, and I was happy to do that. That's where I started. And here's where I am today. That's what I mean. You are all ambassadors for the Sasana. So spread the word. Get people on board. People you know, people who like to support these kind of initiatives. What's with you is already with the Sasana. Let's leave it there. If there's no one willing to come forward to support this, then we can all chip in. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not about trying to get your money on this project. It's not that. Because you have more than that. You are a human being, you are a person, you know people, and people trust you. That is what I ask you to invest in this. So here's next steps then. If you want to be part of this, and I can't see why anyone wouldn't want to be part of it, because like I said, it's not about what you can afford. If you want to be part of this, and you're not already on the WhatsApp group that we have for this Dhamma Talk, please get yourselves on it. If you're already in the WhatsApp group, there would have been a message there with a link to a Google form on which you can register to be part of this project. Because this is all voluntary. If you don't want to hear any more about this, then we won't spam you. It shouldn't be like that. This is the Sasana, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to be part of it, then no one should have to force you to be part of it. This is not a right, it's a privilege that we have to be part of this. But in that group will be a link through which you can register. For new attendees, I don't know whether they can go back and check previous messages. Okay, so the link will be posted again, right? So you can register, and it will open up a Google form on which you can put down your details to express your interest to be part of the Little Britain project. Once you've done that, more information about this project will be sent to you. Why? Because you have requested it. So if at any point you feel you don't want to hear any more about this, what do you have to do? Opt out. That's it. Simple as that. So this is no, I hate to use this word, but I will use it because it makes sense to you. There's no hard sell here. Yach. Forgive me for using that word in the same context as the Sambuddha Sasana. Forgive me. There's nothing like that going on here. You know that none of it is for me. You know that none of it is for any of us individually. It is for the mission of the Sasana. So consider this a privilege. If you don't feel that this is a privilege, first of all, listen to the Dhamma. Don't jump in straight away. Don't be part of this if you don't feel that this is a privilege and opportunity to get involved. First, listen to the Dhamma. Listen to these sermons. Because it will take us a good few years to make it. Maybe 2 years, 3 years. So in that time, you let the Dhamma mature in your mind. Now, again, there may be among you those who can provide things like books for the libraries and so forth. But we don't have a library yet. First of all, you have to have the foundation. Right? So that's what we need first. First we have to have the foundation, then put the walls up on that, then put a roof on top of that, and start bringing things together. Eventually there will be a library. And eventually in that library, there will be people who will want to read, and for their consumption we will need books. But that's yet to come. So we've phased this out into various different stages, and all that detail will be provided to you if you choose to find out more about it. So it's all broken down very neatly and very properly done. And for those who are listening to this online, this part of this sermon will also be cut and posted separately with a separate video. And then there you can find a link to register. So our team will arrange for all that. And then once you've read through the literature, to express your desire and in the ways in which you can support this, there will be a phone number. Just contact that phone number, either through a message, WhatsApp message, or a call, and speak to this good lady who you all know. So this project is going to be a life changer for many people. Today, from here on, you all have the opportunity to be part of that. So I'll leave that with you. From time to time, we'll give you updates on how things are going. And by giving you updates, that doesn't mean that those who haven't contributed must now contribute. That's not that. It's for you to rejoice in it. Remember, there may be only a gentleman who gets to hold the Muthukude, but that doesn't mean the ladies in the house cannot rejoice in it. Agreed? There you go. It doesn't have to be your hand holding the umbrella. Hold it in your mind. That is where merits are born, not in your fingers. So you can all get involved in this project, even without spending a penny. That is what I want from you. As I said, I don't want what you have. I want you. I want your Nibbāna. I want you to want this project to be a success. Can I ask of that from all of you? Can all of you want this project to be a success? Thank you. That's all I can ask. Beyond that, it's up to you. You decide and do the best you can, do whatever you can. Right, don't forget the riddle. So work through the riddle over the course of the next week. It'll be a very interesting one, I have to say. Next week, I'll give you the answer. Okay? You remember the riddle, right? All right. Let's do a merit transfer and bring the sermon to a close. Let us all take a moment then to transfer the merits that we have all acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, by inviting the Swami Master to deliver the sermon, as well as creating a conducive environment for all to come along and practice the Dhamma, Let us take this opportunity to transfer merits to all the monks and nuns resident throughout the world, including the chief prelates of all of the chapters who have sacrificed themselves to protect and preserve the Sambuddha Sasana. Let us transfer this message to the monks and nuns resident in your local temples and nunneries who have always been by your side through thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let us also transfer this message to my teacher, Guru Swami Mahanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery and the Anagarikas and Anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let us take a moment to transfer this message to those who make great efforts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be that by transliterating these talks, sharing them out with others, or inviting others to join them. Let us also transfer this message to our devotees, friends of the monastery, who, for the sake of merits to help them attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna, continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes all of you who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, robes, and medicines, as well as those who pass on their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. May they all rejoice in these merits. By the power of these merits, may they all be freed of any physical and mental ailments and overcoming obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, and nieces, our friends, our acquaintances, our employees, our employees, our teachers, as well as anyone and everyone who've helped us, supported us, and assisted us in any way, shape, or form. May they all rejoice in these merits, and by the power of these merits, may they also be freed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer this message to the devas and brahmas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakadeva, as well as all the demons, gods, and deities who have committed themselves to fulfill and preserve the Sambuddha Sasana. Let us transfer this message to our guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May by the power of these merits, they be freed of any obstacles to their spiritual liberation, practice the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take this moment to transfer this message to those who passed away in our name, our forefathers, our ancestors, reminding ourselves that it is in their blood, sweat, and tears today we are able to enjoy the comforts of life as we do. Let us transfer this message to members of the armed forces, as well as the police force, who sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation, as well as those who lost their lives in the wars, be their friend or foe. Let us transfer this message to those who lost their lives in natural disasters and calamities such as tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, fires, floods, pandemics, and so on, reminding ourselves that in this infinitely long journey of samsara, they will all have been mothers and fathers to us, friends to us, with an abundance of compassion and loving kindness towards all that they have done for us. Let us transfer this message to them, and by the power of these merits, may they also be freed, and may they, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, they redeem themselves to be born in the blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may by the power and blessings of all the merits that we have acquired throughout the day, we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of arahants on this blessed land. And finally, may you and I, and everyone who's helped make this program a success, become a Rahatan Vahanse or an Arahat Tirnin Vahanse in this very life itself, and in the era of the Gautam Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga kinnen nidatva Dvesha kinnen nidatva Moha kinnen nidatva Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatma Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatma Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satmayo Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatma Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatma Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatma Raga gini Mohagini niveva nivan sapa labeva nivan sapa labeva nivan sapa labeva. Tunduange suisi ananta mahaguna belen silu loka silu satyoma Nibbāna paramasukhen sukhtaravetva sadhu sadhu sadhu.